Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of WaffleBran Cast. How's it going? My name's
Yay,
Bran.
second episode.
Second episode.
Episode 2.
Episode 2.
Hi, Horizon. Hey, how's it going?
My name is Brandon, and I'm joined with the sexy Waffles for Jumps.
That's me.
How's it going, Waffles?
I'm the sexy boy.
You're the sexy boy.
Brand's also the sexy boy.
Waffles is the sexy boy with the new mic you can see on that side of that screen
I got a new
there.
mic.
Well, then.
I've got a brand new mic, guys. So this thing feels so much better than the crappy little snowball that I was using during the last podcast. This one, ooh, it's nice. Brand recommended the AT 2020, and that's what I got. So we owe some thanks. I owe thanks to, it was Ruku, Immortal, Battlefield Matt, and Valiant. You guys made it possible for me to get a new mic, so I really appreciate it. I hope it sounds good, because it was not sounding good on Friday. Friday, we had a few issues, but I fixed it. Hopefully. Let me know if it starts peaking or if it sounds like if something happens on stream and the sound quality starts going to poo-poo, just let me know and I'll see if I can fix it.
Yes.
Because I had to go through a lot to get it working.
Go through a lot, it does, for good audio quality. And Val, no, we aren't playing Arma. we aren't joining Nin and stuff in Arma. Wow.
Sounds good? Okay, nice. And you can hear Bran and everything like that?
Hello. Yes.
Bran
You hear me?
sounds
Do I sound all right? Do I?
Decent volume?
I have not changed my stuff a lot at all, so I shouldn't sound any different than I have in the past little while. If I do, then that's very awkward.
Bran is slightly quieter? Let me see if I turn Bran up just a little bit.
Me up just a bit.
Turn
Waffles.
me up.
Just turn me up, Jimmy. Up.
Turn me up, daddy. Alright, there we go.
There you go.
Oh, hey, Valiant. Yeah, hey, Ruku and Valiant. Thank you guys so much again for the mic. That is super awesome.
So our
I'm so
main
happy.
topic today is supposed to be video games. However, I think we've already gotten the track of it about your new mic. How was the setup? How was everything being set up? I think that's where we should start with, considering that this was the main topic.
Let's start out with that. Yeah. We'll start off with
the big
mic
thing from the last week, that this is what was going on and this is what was going to happen. We said it was going to happen, and it did.
And it did. Yeah, it did happen. I did have it set up for stream on Friday, which I was playing Resident Evil 7 with it. Turns out I didn't set it up very well. So I first got this mic, I want to say on Wednesday, I think. Wednesday or Thursday. I was super sick. First off, I've been sick all week. I came down with like a nasty little cold.
Let's get that out of the way. The Waffle is feeling a bit under the weather, so let's not.
Yeah.
we won't try to push Waffles too much. I think that's a big key for today.
I still
keeping
have
your voice.
flexes disabled, because I've gotten over the sickness. Not as I'm not laying in bed with a headache still and coughs and all that stuff, but my muscles are still very achy for some reason. I don't know if the sickness decided that my muscles were the place that was most threatening to it and decided to attack them or something like that, because my muscles have just been like this weird where I'll touch a spot. It's not on my arm. I'm just touching there to show you. I'll touch a spot, and it's like super sensitive, and the whole muscle's like, no, don't touch,
no,
bad
don't.
touch. Yeah, it's all up in my torso. It's all up in this torso region right here that just doesn't work, and my back is killing me, and it's like, I don't know.
Look at those muscles, yeah. Look at the flex. Look at the Waffles flex there.
Also,
hi,
I might
Barbie.
be a bit nasally because my sinuses are acting up.
But back onto the track.
Hi, Barbie.
Barbie.
And Valiant. Damn, look at those muscles, yeah.
Look at those muscles. But
Look
getting
at
back
them
on track, because it seems we will do that often, as we've explained already in the first episode, which if you haven't checked out, it's actually on my YouTube. first few episodes on YouTube, with a little bit extra in there. But
Oh
regardless,
yeah. Can we talk about that for a second?
you want to talk about that
No,
for a
that's
second?
that's
Okay.
not a sidetrack.
That's not a sidetrack.
main.
Okay, that's a main thing.
Brand's
It's a
edited.
main thing. I've
He
added.
edited it.
I've edited
Edited.
a little bit of it. I've added some flair to the video. So if you want to go check it out, it is on my YouTube, which is, I can't even really remember. I believe it's, I don't even remember. I don't even touch my thing.
My YouTube somewhere.
It's youtube.com.
I can find it really quick.
If you just search up
wanna keep talking
brand
about it.
$12.99 VR, that's what it is. That would be what it is. It's brand $12.99 VR. That's what it's going to be under. It's a cutie Alicia. Hello. Yes. And hello for those who don't know. This is my face. But yes, it is on YouTube. I've added a little bit to it. So if you want to go check it out, it's over there. I will be uploading more there. So this one's going to go in there too. Hopefully we'll
What
add
is
a
it?
little bit of flair to it.
Brand 99 VR.
$12.99 VR.
12.99. Brand 12.99. I'm just gonna find the link.
Or is it just, it actually might be just brand $12.99.
It's just brand 12.99.
Yeah, there you go. I didn't,
I see.
I couldn't remember if it was VR or not because I've added a VR in a couple things. But yeah, there's brand $12.99 VR in there.
Yes, I'm gonna put a link
I'm
to
pretty
it.
sure I made this work. Yeah, there you go. I made that work as well. There you go. I added my own
Oh,
YouTube
Valiant
command
got it.
in mine.
Permit Valiant. Because Twitch said no. There we go. It should work.
Podcast Val, not that one. Mine's podcast.
Not that one.
I have mine set up to be exclamation podcast on my stream just so that I have one single link for it.
Also, Valiant, thank you for the sub. I saw that.
But yes, that's the main thing here. If
Thank you so
we
much.
are both streaming on our dedicated Twitch channel, so if everyone wants to go check it out, it's there. But yes, there is. I have updated a little bit on the first podcast. I will try to do it on here as well, but I think we should get back onto track actually and talk about your mic, because that's what we originally were going to say was going to go on. So let's go to the mic. Your setup. So you got a Wednesday. That's where we ended.
Yeah. So I was super sick. Just feeling like absolute. Just I couldn't even get out of bed. And I got the mic in the mail from Amazon, and I was like, "Oh, I want it! I want to set it up so bad! I want to try it out! It's my new stuff! Yeah!" And I did. I managed to roll out of bed, grabbed all the stuff, tore apart all the didn't tear apart all the boxes. I carefully opened the boxes.
Carefully,
Because you
just
never know when you have to do that Amazon return. Carefully opened the boxes. Looked at all the audio equipment I had to set up and went back to sleep. I was like, nope. Nope. I took a nap. Woke up later, rolled out of bed again, and then decided to start putting it together. Turns out, I bought some equipment that wasn't what I thought it was.
No,
So
it really
you-
wasn't.
Yeah, for this mic, for these kind of mics, you have to buy you have to get a mixer board.
Do you want me to explain it, or you're confident in yourself?
I think you guys will understand why I screwed up if I try to explain it.
Okay, here we go.
You gotta get a mixer board, and the mixer board does the sound stuff, and you plug in the XLR cable from the mic into the mixer board, and then you plug the mixer board into the computer, and it does fancy things. And I didn't get a USB one. I got one that's like made for professional sound setups that people already have all the cords and stuff going to amplifiers, going places, and stuff like that. Didn't get that. Got a bad one. So, I had to plug that into my it's just a bad sound card. It's like, I was trying to come up with a cool word for shitty, but that's it. That's all. It's just a shitty sound card. That's it. And it doesn't work very well. So I got to take it back and get a new one. But, Hopefully it
It,
sounds okay.
it's working right now, so that's the important thing is that we
Yeah.
do have Waffles on a brand new mic. He's no longer just using his normal snowball, and
I'm
he has the
not using my
capability.
garbage ball.
He's not using his garbage ball, and you can see it perfectly set up, standing up right there in the corner of the screen, just showing off how beautiful it looks with that little pop filter on it as well.
Valiant says there's some kind of irony here about me being sick while getting the mic. You're not sure what it is? It's
It's with the mic.
karma. I'm not allowed to set up audio equipment ever. That's what it is.
Yeah,
I'm not.
yeah.
I'm not
Waffles
good
got a
with
new
audio
mic.
stuff.
We from last podcast stream, Waffles was able to forward a new mic, and that is a big thing for
Yeah.
Waffles because you wanted to improve your mic quality. You wanted to improve
Yeah,
your
thanks
audio
to
quality.
some very generous help from you guys. Thank you so much.
Even me and you were talking. It's just like if we ever did anything in person, I'd be so tempted to go full out on audio and video and visuals, like because that is my
Like
thing.
if we were physically at a table talking to each other.
Because that
and-
is my thing.
and
Because
had
we talked
nice-
about this last time, or like between me and you, it's like I would go full out because there is so many different things that I'd love to do.
Yeah.
Trying audio wise or even visual wise, there's just so many different things that I'd love to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff I always see in people's podcast setup when they can actually sit down at a table with each other and stuff like that. There's
Because
just a lot
I
of
even showed you the switcher board that I'd love to have if I could. It's just a camera switcher board that just switch between a couple
yeah.
different
You sent
views.
me like a picture of like some big old sound module thing, and I was like, that looks fancy and expensive and cool. I don't know what it does.
I don't know what it does,
but it
but
looks
it looks
cool.
awesome. Pran flies over to Waffles when after COVID. That's when that would have to happen.
Yeah.
Anyways,
can
We've gone through
hang
that.
out.
Now for the main topic that we've discussed and we wanted to go through. We discussed this for an hour, what we wanted to do. We came up with something really important to us, which is video games. Video games, the reason why we're basically here today, like all of us, because we came together through a video game. We wanted to talk
video
about.
games. I felt like video games now. Video games is a very broad topic, obviously, and so we'll be narrowing it down. I'd like to touch on like specifically myself. I want to touch on like how video games influenced me over the course of my life, how I grew up with them, how they've changed me. I would not be the person that I am today without video games.
I don't think any of us would. Again, like I said, I don't think any of us would be here. I don't think me and you would be here on this podcast talking to each other if it wasn't for the fact that we had
probably not.
video games to bond over. And I
Heck
think a
no.
big topic of this of today, even though, like we said, it's a very broad topic, is just the ways it's affected us and brought us to where we are today. And like, I guess it leaks slightly into something that I know we want to talk about later, which is childhood memories and stuff, because that's something that's been a big thing. I'm pretty sure for most of us, if not all of us, is it's got some influence from when we were childhood to now, especially in the world we live in now, is where it's very prevalent and easy access for video games to be something you do on a daily basis.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like easy peasy, they're everywhere. You can't get away from them. When I was a kid, getting a video game was a huge deal. That was a big deal for me. When I Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES, with the big old square controllers and everything like that, I was flipping my lid as a kid. I was like, oh my god, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Because I hadn't had access to anything like that before at all. You know, I played on my dad's computer sometimes when he let me play solitaire. But that was about it. That was the only access I had to video games up until that point. And let me tell you, it was a match made in heaven. It was magical. Little waffles playing the NES for the first time. I had the original Super Mario Brothers and the Duck Hunt combo. where you had the Duck Hunt gun and the Mario Brothers, and I sunk so much of my life into that when I was a kid. It was it was a lot. It was I played. I would get home from school, turn on Mario Brothers, die in the first level, at least a 100 times before I would turn off the Nintendo for the night, and then it would already be way past my bedtime, and my parents would be getting mad at me. Yeah, and then it just got worse from there.
It just got worse.
I just got more and more into video games. I was still
somewhere,
like an
right?
outdoors kid. Yeah. It sounds like a Waffles things to do. Yup.
Sounds like die on level 1.
Yep.
What has changed?
Nothing has changed.
What has changed in the past
Nothing
several
has
years?
changed. I still die on level 1. Yep. I feel like, I reached my peak of video games when I was like 20, and then it's just going back down. Now I'm back to where I was as a kid. I'm going to be getting worse than I was as a kid eventually here pretty soon.
It was a slow rise to the top of 20, and then it all went down from there.
Yeah. But yeah, that was my first introduction was the Nintendo NES, and it was I played on that a lot.
See, I can't exactly remember where my exact origins started from video games, but for consoles, for sure, it was the Super NES. That was the first thing I ever had was the Super NES. So it was just like that gray box. It was like a gray box, and had the purple switches for like on and off and stuff.
Like a Super Nintendo?
I think it was a Super Nintendo NES or something like that.
Yeah, the regular Nintendo was the square box, was just the square box, and the Super Nintendo had like a sleeker design to it.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. It was the Super Nintendo. That's what I had.
Yeah.
I had it on a old CVR or TV. It was just like I played a couple games on that. And that's
did it
kind
consume your life as it did mine?
It didn't consume my life as much because, as mentioned in like the first episode, like I was a lot more into sports than anything, so it did occupy a lot of my life, or some of my life, I should say. But I was more focused on that outdoorsy kind of feel to it and different things. So it wasn't until later on where video games started to consume my life, and that wasn't until like PS3. That's when the takeover started happening.
That's when it started taking over.
That's when the takeover kind of started happening. But for anything prior to that, it was just like I'd play on a DS or the Game Boy or something like that. Like that those were the two things that like I used to have is just, and I'd play more of. Those were always on the go kind of thing. So it wasn't ever always something I constantly dug myself into, but it was like if I had to go out and I was just like watching my sister do dance or something, it was just like, oh yeah, this is fun to go play on the outside.
Yeah. Play in the outside world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, when I got a Game Boy, man, that changed my life too. That also changed everything I knew about video games. When I discovered that I could make stuff, I could mobily go around and play video games wherever I wanted. Oh, it was so cool.
Well, even if you see the like progression,
Game Boy games.
You see the progression from like the Game Boys and or the DS's, Nintendo DS's, till like now, and you have the Switch and everything. It's just like, oh yeah, my goodness, that's like graphics has got so much better. Like the mobility of the things have gotten so much sleeker and better. And
yeah, I've seen games go from the original Mario to where they are today. It's been a ride. Your first game, Ruku says, their first gaming stuff is the gray brick called the Game Boy. Yeah, with the Super Mario World. After that, Pokemon Blue. They had Super Mario World was on the Game Boy. Was on the brick. It was on the brick.
I'm not old enough to remember.
Or was it Mario
that.
Land? Because Mario Land was their first attempt to try and make a Mario game.
Sega Genesis.
Game Boy in handheld form. I can't believe they came out with Mario World on the. Oh, it was Land. Okay, yeah. Land was a interesting one. It compared to the NES one, It wasn't as good of a game because it was a little choppy. You were kind of like Mario didn't bounce as much. He wasn't as mobile, but man, was it cool that you could bring that with you anywhere. And it had some great music. It had the da 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 da, and I love that song, and I would hum that all the time. And then you played Pokemon Blue, and then you got a PS1 at 8 years old with the driver, and Harry Potter shortly followed by Final Fantasy VIII. Between FF8 and Pokemon, you fell in love with JRPG and turn-based RPG games. Yeah. Yeah, those were, man, when I first discovered Final Fantasy, that was a game changer.
The big game changer.
Yeah, if by the way, if you guys have any stories, any video game stories about how they affected you or anything like that, yeah, post those. Let us know, because I want to talk. I'm interested in how video games have affected you guys too. Pac-Man and Sega Genesis. So here's the thing about video games in my childhood. All of my friends, I had the square brick. I had the NES, right? I had the Nintendo. My friend next door had the Sega, and then my friend a few houses down the street had the Super Nintendo. So whatever particular game we felt like we were into on that particular day, we just go over to that friend's house who had the console that had the good stuff, and we would go and play. We were in a unique situation, and we'll talk about I had a very interesting childhood on this street called Dogwood Lane when I was growing up, and I'll talk about that. That's definitely a topic for a stream at some point, is my childhood on Dogwood Lane. But there was 4 houses in a row. My house, my friend Destiny's house, my friend Megan's house, and my friend Wade's house. We were all in the exact same grade, all living next to each other. So we were all best friends, and we'd hang out and go on adventures together, usually in video game lands. Oh, Crazy Taxi on Dreamcast, Valian said. Yes, that one was amazing. My cousin had the Dreamcast, so if I ever wanted to play Dreamcast, I'd go over to his house. And also, Valiant, thank you for gifting the sub to Time Lord. I appreciate it. Where was I? I lost my train of thought. Oh, my friends. So we would go over to each of their houses and play video games, whichever console they had. My friend Destiny had the Sega, had the original Sega Genesis and Sonic. And boy, did we play the hell out of Sonic. We played so much Sonic as a group, as the whole gang. It was only single player because it was the original Sonic. But we'd all just hang out around the Sega and just stare and watch each other play it. And then, oh, thank you, Ruku, for gifting the sub to Yuki.
Keeping to Yuki.
Yay!
Yuki.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for the love, guys.
Hashtag get Waffles a better mixer.
Hashtag get me a better mixer. Yeah, I'm gonna take this one back and get something a little better. It'll be nice and not complicated. I'm gonna get a little simpler one, I think. One that isn't going to confuse the heck out of me.
Yuki's still sub tier, thanks Ruku. Just getting Yuki in everywhere now you can. Oh boy.
But we played so much Sonic that's what we would do when we weren't playing video games. So we had, all of us as kids, and me in particular, I was a very imaginative kid. Like, all I did was play pretend. And the only things we would ever do when we played pretend was pretend like we were in video games. That was like 99% of what we do as kids. We used to pretend we were Sonic characters, and we would just run around the yard chasing each other. One of us would get to be Sonic, and the other players would get to be like Knuckles.
Knuckles. Oh god, it's just so ruined now.
pretending that we'd even make little rev up noises. We go beep 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 beep. I can only imagine what our parents thought we were doing as kids, running around the yard, making these noises, going beep 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 beep,
It's probably
chasing after each other.
There's a good chance it's very questionable that like all the parents do just, what are they doing?
Yeah, it was it was interesting. And we'd play other games. My friend Wade had the Super Nintendo. We'd go over there and play his Super Nintendo. Now his house was not that nice of a place. It was kind of a dump. So we wouldn't go over there very often because he wasn't that. It wasn't the nicest house in the neighborhood, I'll say. There was an open. Let's just say there was a giant pit in the backyard that was an open septic tank.
Open.
Just saying.
Oh.
Yes, we did fall in at. So that's a story for another day.
That's the story for the childhood one.
Yeah, that's the story for the childhood. But we didn't play. We played Super Nintendo over there. We played this game called Mystical Ninja. It was really fun, and then we pretend we were ninjas, and go fly around the neighborhood pretending that we were ninjas. Our parents never knew where we were, ever.
Yeah, Barbie.
But yeah, that was pretty much the first influence I really had in video games, was just all of us pretending we were video game characters. Maybe that ties into why I play like a lot of D&D and stuff like that, because that imagination,
the role
really
play,
left me.
I like
a
RP.
lot of RPGs and stuff like that. Like RPGs are huge for me. I really like pretending to be a character, and that probably ties back to how, as a kid, we would play video games and then literally pretend to go be that character, as we'd like run around and pretend to be Sonic versus the ninjas and stuff like that, and Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles and all that stuff. I would pretend to be all of those all the time. And I played every Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers video game that came out. I would go through hell and high water to try and get those video games.
Yeah, but
they didn't care back in the day, as long as you're home for dinner. Exactly. Your parents were just like, all right, be back in time for dinner. Other than that, don't die. Have fun.
Good luck.
That was it. Grom Cosplay Podcast? Yeah.
Oh, God.
For those of you who don't know, I've been playing a D&D campaign. I've been playing a D&D campaign, and that's been really exciting. I've been playing as Grom the Barbarian, which is a really fun character. Big old meathead.
Big old meathead.
Some of my favorite characters to play are the good old Flexi boys, the guys who can flex.
Of course. Of course. See, you easily fit the role, too. Just easily can fit inside.
Yeah, I mold right into that role. The ultimate flex is one of my special abilities, and I love it.
So obviously that's been a big influence. It's just the ability to RP a lot, I guess you could say, in a sense. Is there anything else that you've done that involves RPing?
Oh, yeah. This is a big part of my life. I used to go and do like, there was, so back in the day, right, there wasn't, in the most infant forms of the internet, there wasn't a whole lot of access to, you know, different types of role playing, and Dungeons and Dragons wasn't a big thing. It was mostly offlines and select circles of geeks and nerds and stuff like that. And they hadn't really, you know, nowadays you just go on the nearest forum or whatever and you just go, my character decides to walk up to your character and gives them a big old smooch or something like that. They didn't have that back in the day. You had to connect to each other live via something called Telnet, which is a very old internet protocol, very old basic text protocol program. And you would connect to these Telnet servers that were that had you would connect to the Telnet server and you would instantly go to like this home area, and they would have just there would be rooms and things like that you could go into. So it was a very rudimentary, like, you can go northwest, east, south. Here's the room description kind of thing.
Right.
So they'd be like, you are in this room. Here's the other players that are in this room. Here's the description of the room. Get role playing. And that would be you'd connect online to this virtual world that was all text based in this old Telnet program, and just type in what your characters are doing and stuff like that. So you would join a room and you would see, this is the list of players, and see a bunch of people like typing out what they would be doing and stuff like that.
So I don't want to dig too deep into it, but were you, because if so, it would be great for the childhood one. Did you ever take an interest in acting? Because you consider you like RP so much, like theater, anything in theater.
I did, but I never really pursued it. You know, I was always interested in acting and being a character, being, you know, what I did pursue for a while was writing, actually, because of the influence from all that stuff. The Telnet role playing and stuff like that. I had grown fond of creative writing and stuff, so I had taken an interest in that, but never really in depth pursued it. Never really got anywhere with that, and
like Ruku just bidded.
Voice actor.
That's what I was gonna say. Like Ruku just bidded. Is voice, if the opportunity came across where you were offered just like some kind of role, would you take out voice acting?
Heck yeah, I would. Are you kidding me? If I could voice act, I would love that. I mean, you know, I think I'd have to do a little, you know, I've never done it before, so I'd definitely have to get the ropes and stuff like that. I don't know.
Is there any specific like kind of thing you would want to voice act for? Like, is there like you would want to voice act for like an anime kind of thing, or just like video games
and anime?
Yeah,
just down all the way. Yep. I'm ready. I'm ready, baby. I've played so many video games and anime. I know exactly what I have to do for.
I know
we
exactly.
We can do this. Let's win this fight. You know, I think it would be a blast just to do. I don't even care if it's good or not. I don't even care if I'd be good at it. Anybody want a voice for a video game that's like semi-mediocre and a guy has no idea what he's doing, but he likes doing voices? Call me. I'm ready. I'm ready to be a video game boy.
We gotta make gotta make Waffle's demo of what he's capable of, and then just start sending it off to a bunch of people.
A demo tape.
You gotta make a demo tape for some people, and
I've got. Yeah.
We'll see Waffles in some kind of video game in the future, some indie video game, and then he'll just work his way up from there.
Exactly. You start off low. Anybody making a video game? You guys making video games?
Anyone out there planning to make a video game? Hit Waffles for chumps up on.
Free voice acting. You don't even have to pay me.
Free.
We'll just do some voice lines.
Just slip
Getting
in
some acting lessons and voice training, and I would make a pretty decent VA.
Voice actor.
Yeah, maybe. That would be pretty cool.
Speaking entertainment. It is possible, yeah.
Valiant, you got to get that foot in the door for me. Let's go.
You could
be my liaison with the entertainment world.
You could put a bunch of Twitch clips together of Waffles doing random stuff, and then that would be his voice acting clip. But you would that would probably only work for so long, and then you'd have to come up with a professional one.
Yeah. Well, I will be doing some Dungeons and Dragons here on stream. I'm going to be doing a DM, and that's where I'll be showcasing a lot of voices. That's where a lot of my voices come up and stuff like that, is when I'm when I'm DMing because I just love acting out all these different characters and stuff like that in Dungeons and Dragons. It's so fun to me.
Anyone interested in a voice actor, just hit up Waffles for Chumps in his
Ready.
DMs, his Discord
So-
DMs.
What about you, Brian? How video games in your childhood? You got any video game stories?
So something that's was probably a big life that kind of brought me in is unsurprisingly the Wii U, or like the Wii. I shouldn't say Wii U because I never touched that thing. The Wii. So for those who remember the Wii, which is Nintendo's
That
old
changed the game, baby.
old system that pretty much changed a lot of the industry and helped them where they are today, was just like a home console that was all motion capture, which was like kind of quite new at the time. Is that you had this long strip at the front of your TV that would pick up the remotes that you had. So for anyone who's used VR and VR controls, you get your controllers and they can track it through either, well, now ingrained headsets or base stations. It was a mini, really thin base station at the time, pretty much, that sat at the front of your TV that used infrared just to pick it up like a remote control, but just kind of your inputs and where you were pointing everything. So it was quite cool at the time.
Yeah.
But that was
it
just
was
something
amazing. Like
but
that motion technology has never been.
It was just not very something you saw in
explored.
consumer, and then especially as a child, that was just something that was definitely one of those things that just interest you and got your family kind of get it. It was definitely a family console at the time. Like obviously,
Yeah.
obviously now a lot of consoles are pushed towards individuals and not like family oriented things, and more like, hey, this is your kind of
Yeah, they
child
pushed
thing.
away from that whole thing. But I remember like my grandpa and grandma being into Wii bowling. Man, they were like, "Let's do some Wii bowling. I love it."
Yeah, but it was such a friendly console
Yeah,
and
it
stuff,
was
and
so cool
that
to
was
me.
definitely a big influence, such as the console industry in general, and definitely had some kind of input on my life for sure. Like I think I still even had the old Wii upstairs. We don't use it, we don't ever touch it, but it's still there for good memories kind of sake. And like there were so many different games you could play on it, and like from just your standard Wii U stuff or Wii Fit or whatever you wanted to the actual video games. Like they had different types of video games that you could play on there, which was quite cool and just unique at the time. And then you had your nunchucks, which added an extra layer of just.
You could also break your TV with.
Oh yeah, I cracked the TV once.
Oh, it's Alexia.
that's-
Hi, don't worry.
Hello,
No
Alexia.
worries, Alexia. We're just talking about Brand's talking about his Nintendo Wii days.
Yeah, but the next thing after that was the PS3, and this is where like my life changed for sure. Like this is like when I was like in my like starting to hit my teens, like early teenage years, if like 12, 13, kind of hitting there, and that's when I got like the PS3, and this is kind of just took the direction of where I am today. And like I didn't play the PS2. I didn't have
you
it.
skipped
So
over the PS2.
I skipped over the PS2 because at the time, like the PS3 was the big new thing on it, like that just came out at the time, and that's what my dad got for me, and that's where a lot of things changed.
Yep, it's like whatever you had access to, that was like your life changer. It was like,
Oh yeah, for sure. And then
Yeah.
something that was the starter to that I started playing, which shouldn't be surprised if you knew me well, but for the most people here probably don't know me as well as that, is the first things that I really got interested to was the sports games. So anything like NHL or MLB, like those two things really
Oh, yeah.
caught on to me. And those were like, I loved playing be a pro mode or something, or like stuff like that. And
so you played a lot of the sports. Like
that was something that like I invested a lot of time into at first. That was just like, that was my kind of genre to playing, because I kept playing sports and stuff. So in my brain, it was,
NBA.
I didn't play NBA, but yeah, basically, that's basically what it was. But it was just like, it was such a big influence to me because I was still playing sports at the time. So you want to, like, especially when you're young, you kind of want to imagine yourself in like in the professional scene. Like some people, a lot of people aren't gonna make it, but it's just one of those things where it's just imagine being here, and it kind of gave you an outlet to be in that position, as well as just being goofy on the game, like things you would never see in an actual game. You can just body check everyone and just
do
go
crazy. Yeah. I just want to do only blitz plays for the rest of the game.
Exactly, because there was one play in NHL that I always remember as just being a winger, and they would win the draw, and you would just go straight for the fucking center and just knock him over just off a draw, and there would be no
into a boxing match.
There would be no penalties or anything, no penalties because the video game just didn't understand it, and you just go charging head on to that center and just knock him, sending him flying to the other side of the ice, and it's just like it was just fun. It was funny. It really added no value to the team or anything, but for the experience, it was just hilarious just to do.
Yeah, I always love that about sports video games. I didn't play a whole lot, but I just remember it's so funny, like how people would be doing absolutely insane stuff, like what you were just talking, just body checking everybody, and the announcers would be like, "Oh, and then he's gonna go body check this guy." And
it's so casual. It's like, "Oh, nice hit on this guy," and then what would be
casual?
What would be like in a normal hockey game called charging, where you just completely go for a guy. You just bored the guy into the walls and nothing would happen, and just the guy would get up fine.
Be like, "Oh, that looks like it hurt."
Yeah, it's like that. It looks like it hurt. The guy gets up fine, but it was just like in real life, that guy's probably dead.
Yeah, he's dead. Yeah,
but it was
I always thought it was so funny.
It was so funny.
They were so nonchalant about the commentators were.
But unsurprisingly, the next thing that I got into that someone got for me was the original Call of Duty Black Ops. So for those who do not know, there was a series of Modern Warfare on CODs, but the first thing I actually got that I physically played for a while was the original Call of Duty Black Ops campaign, and this is where that FPS kind of syndrome just hit, and that's where it started, and that's where it's taken me today. It wasn't even the multiplayer or anything that got to me. It was definitely the campaign, and then I also had a friend who was similar to me, who enjoyed sports to an extent, and we played baseball a lot together, and we hung out a lot together. He's my best friend, and he got a PS3 and got COD as well, and we played zombies together on multiplayer, and that's where we would just play that, and it was just fun, and that really took over a lot of things. I enjoyed playing on solo and campaigns, but playing with him, somebody I knew and was really close to me, and we'd play zombies together, just was like, yeah, I love this. I was terrible, but like it was fun.
FPS is the great equalizer in video games. That was the FPSs, man, really changed up the game when those started getting popular. Selexia says that they had a Wii. Yeah. Oh yeah. You still have a Wii. Oh yeah. I haven't played my Wii in a very long time.
No, I haven't touched that in a while. It's upstairs. The only other thing...
I played Gauntlet Dark Legacy. That's another good one. Sorry, go ahead,
the only other thing with Wii's is like one of my friends that I hung out with a lot. Like we had a group of friends that when I was in high school, elementary, and we'd go over to certain people's places, and one of the guys had a Wii U, and he'd bring it all the time, and you would play like Smash Bros together, and it would just be completely stupid fun. But that was something that also was like,
bring over your. I played the original Smash Bros on Nintendo 64, man, and I loved that game so much. That's why I still, even to this day, like just last week, I was playing a buttload of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I love Super Smash Bros. It's my jam.
God damn it, Ruku.
Wait, I'm paper with FPS.
I'm Asian.
Just terrible.
Maz says I'm Asian. Am I Asian, Waffles?
No, I don't think so.
Hi, Maz. How's it going?
Did he type in "your Asian" question mark?
He said, "Wait, you're Asian, not like this emote." Not like this emote.
Oh, that's yes. I'm pretty sure Bran. We've had. Well, I knew it, but I don't know.
Both you and Sugar were like, "Bruh, yeah, no, not a lot of people knew what I looked like." It's just like the fact that it's just like you're Asian. It's like,
hi, Sugar.
Shit.
Hi, Maz.
Hey, Sugar.
Didn't know Bran was Asian.
Hello, this is what I look like. Now you can now put a face.
Sexy boy. Look at his face. Look at that beautiful face.
You can now put the face to the voice of who does a bunch of stuff and things and hangouts.
Yeah,
and
you can
all
put a
that
face
stuff.
to it.
This is
Brian,
me.
I'm just gonna come over there. There really quick.
I don't know which. I don't know.
It.
Oh,
It's so beautiful. Yes. Kisses, Brian. Wait, hold it. This way. This way.
Am I the other way? I don't know which way I'm going because it's the opposite for me.
Kiss the forehead. Yes, he's a
It's
beautiful
the,
boy.
It's the opposite for me, I think.
You have been blessed by waffles.
I've been blessed by waffles. Okay.
My basement is looking really good. Thank you. Hold on, we're gonna go on a side story for a second.
Side story, okay.
My basement is looking so good, guys. It's so amazing. Over the past 4 or 5 months, we've been doing this dang basement, and it's been so difficult. So many trials and tribulations.
So many ups and
Trying to
downs.
Get people in here with COVID happening and all that stuff, and just
So much construction noises.
Behind every single one of my streams, and it's finally coming to fruition. Now, the rest of the basement isn't as complete as this room. This room is this is the most complete part of the basement, and that's why I moved in here so I wouldn't have to deal with construction and stuff like that. The rest of the basement is starting to look like this though, and it makes me so happy just to see a completed project and just be like,
Bye, Barbie. Have a good night.
it's finished. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It's so beautiful.
It's just wonderfully beautiful.
For anybody confused, for the first 9 months of my stream, I had an incomplete room behind me with just exposed.
It's just all exposed wall and everything.
Exposed wall, yeah, and insulation.
Your insulation just all hanging out. You got the one wood beam and then just like the insulation. Yeah, I remember that.
Bran looks smart, Selexia says.
Smart. I look smart. I don't think I'm smart.
Bran's got that.
What just smart? What would be smart?
Smart is smart.
I mean, I could be like.
What room is Bran in?
I'm in my
he's
basement.
next door. He's right.
Yeah,
right on the
I'm
other
right
side
there.
of that door.
Like, I don't know which way I'm pointing, but yeah, that door, whatever door it is.
Right out there. Yeah. What is that? Your living room?
This is my basement.
Your basement?
This is my
your basement is much nicer.
This is my basement living room.
Your basement is much more finished with actual furniture.
There is an unfinished room over there, like that way. But like it's one of those. Just we left it unfinished.
You want somebody to finish it? I can come right over, and boy, am I. Whoops.
You're to come over here into Canada.
Ruined my.
Finish my basement.
Hold on. Is my capture still?
That's
working?
a basement. Yeah. Yes, it is
we
a
go. Okay.
big basement.
That's a basement.
This is a basement.
How is that a basement?
Because it is. It's a big basement.
Because it is.
Because it is. It's my basement. It's my wonderful basement. It's
nice
my
title
area.
generated by fontgenerator.com. Oh yeah, you're right. That is.
Oh my god!
Get that out
you
of
got
here.
that exposed.
Hold on. Oh, I've been exposed. Hold on.
Hi, dog lovers. Hello.
I can fix
Yeah, I'm in my basement. This is where I
Actually,
do
you know what?
my
Screw it.
This
I'm
is where I
gonna make
do.
it. I'm gonna make it bigger.
This is where I do my gaming. This is I do
I
VR
spent
over
time
there.
on fontgenerator.com making this. I'm gonna make it. Dang it.
I'm gonna make it.
Did I? There we go.
Brand is
Perfect.
flexing on you. I'm flexing on you apparently. Flex on my flex my basement style.
Generated by fontgenerator.
Generated by font.
There we go. Perfect.
Oh yeah, there we go. Cover our faces,
Yeah.
waffles. That's all that matters, right there. That
Not
title.
hashtag not sponsored. by the
Hashtag
way.
not sponsored, by the way. But let's have it just dead center of the screen. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, Bran is flexing his basement on me. Not cool, Bran. Just because I have an unfinished basement doesn't mean you need to flex your basement all over me.
Doesn't mean I have to flex. Oof. Yes, I'm flexing my basement skills on you. That because we've gone off topic.
Oh my gosh. I hope you guys are doing good, Sugared Maz.
Yes.
If you want some guests ever, we'll gladly join you. Oh yeah,
Of
heck
course.
yeah. I would love to have you guys on this stream. Really quick, while you guys are here, do you have any anecdotes into how video games have we've been talking about how video games have affected and changed our lives over the years, how
Yes.
they were influential in becoming who we are as people and how they've changed us and affected us and stuff like that. Do you have any any little anecdotes about your video game history that you want to throw at us really quick? Because I'm kind of curious. Do video games, obviously VR and stuff like that has had a big influence, but um, how have they affected you at all, like personally? Have they changed like how you act or how you view the world? VR chat made your IRL antisocial. Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah,
That's fair.
it did for me too. I mean, it really did.
It's almost a
VR
good thing.
chat.
It's almost a good thing in these times, though. Just well, not the antisocial part. Let me get my wording straight. It's just VR though, just because it's hard. We can't go interact with people right now. So just having that
Mhm.
ability of some kind of visual, physical experience is a lot easier to take in than it is no contact whatsoever, because we're just stuck in our housing pretty much.
Yep. I think VR chat has been a huge game changer for those of us
Should-
that have been stuck in quarantine.
Should we skip to that then? Like, because obviously we're talking about video games,
Yeah.
but should we skip to? I know we were talking about our past, and we could probably go back to it.
We
sh-
can go back to it.
but
There's
should
we don't
we-
have a specific designated order?
Because
for any of
obviously,
this.
obviously, a lot of our experiences together, Waffles, or at least getting here, is because of VR chat, technically. And originally,
That's true.
a lot of it was that big Knuckles outbreak, which is why when you said Knuckles, I was laughing because it's so ruined now because of that meme.
Sugar says, fighting games Smite and Call of Duty sparked your anger issues that you had to fix over time.
COD is so toxic.
Did it spark your anger? Here's the question though. Did it spark your anger issues, or did it give you a place to express your anger issues? Because you can
Both.
have anger issues, but
Both.
no outlet. If you have an outlet, though, those anger issues are going to come to the surface, and it gets healthier to play video games to get over. If you got some anger issues, yell at some random guy online who's never going to see you again, rather than
Fueled
your
them.
friend face to face.
I'm gonna punch you in the goddamn face.
Not that I'm not supporting being toxic online, but
I'm not. Hashtag not
video
supporting
games-
toxicity.
video are a great way to relieve stress.
That's for sure. Yeah, no, I'd
It
agree.
fueled them. It made
No.
it made them stronger. It made them more powerful. Yeah.
I gotta say, like, sometimes it does do the opposite effect. But no, you are right. In some cases, it's one of those stress relievers where it's just like you have the freedom to do whatever you want on it, and really no consequences. And at the end of the day, like obviously not toxicity. Toxicity is always a bad thing, and I played enough Siege to know that it's obviously just an awful thing
in
to
some
deal with
cases
is the
for sure,
toxicity.
yeah.
But just like the certain aspect in like video games, just getting your anger out, and just like violence in certain aspects, maybe a fighting game, or maybe just like GTA or something like that.
Fighting games,
Like Ruku said, like sometimes it's just easy to do it. It's just like, yeah, I'm not gonna actually do this IRL, but it's nice just to do
If
something.
you're angry, you might be better in the game too. Well, that goes hand in hand, actually. A large part of, and this boils down to genetics is how animal behavior works, how people's behavior works. Frustration is born from the desire to get better or succeed at something that you're not currently succeeding at. And that's exactly what frustration is. I watch, I've watched YouTube videos and stuff like that of just animals. Like, you ever watch those videos of like people playing tricks on squirrels and they'll make. There's like a video of a person who had the hole, the size of a hole, and he would put a treat, in a box, and the only way to get in there would be this hole, and the squirrel would go in it, and then the hole would get smaller, the squirrel would go in it, the hole would get smaller, the squirrel would go in it and get the treat, and it would eventually get to so small that the squirrel would have to start struggling, and smaller, and the squirrel wouldn't be able to get in there, and he would get legit frustrated. Like, that squirrel, you could tell, like, squirrels don't have much expression on their face, but you could tell they were frustrated. They really they're just squirrely, as angry as a squirrel can get. And that's just a basic part of how we overcome situations and stuff like that. And I think video games, just getting frustrated at a video game is just a natural. It's just a natural part of the way humans act. If you want to beat something, you're gonna get mad at it. You're gonna get frustrated until you beat it, and that's just how it works. So nobody should feel bad for ever getting frustrated at a video game, because we'll have to talk about League of Legends on this chat. Oh God, I had a whole part of my life dedicated to League of Legends. Whoo boy, not proud of those years.
Not proud at all.
Oh man, my jam.
God.
But let's go back to VR chat. I want to
VR
talk
chat,
about
okay.
VR chat, and
So-
because I think we can both talk about that.
So what was your introduction to VR chat? When was that? When did you originally spot VR chat, and what sparked your interest to get in on what is essentially a virtual social game? Nothing else to it. It is a virtual social game.
Yeah. Hold on, one second. I want to read this before it goes away. Riku said, on a competitive level, being on a red team gives advantage because red is anger and fire and hot, while blue is calming and soothing, dulling the reaction time. That is somewhat true. People have done actual legit studies, and a very tiny, not enough to make much of a difference, but a very tiny percentage of red team people have more victories than blue team people and stuff like that. Celestia asks, how do you keep the joy of it from getting old? It scares you to think that sometimes things get worn out over time if you play it too much.
I always think there's a balance between it, because you even hear competitive players. It's just there's always that right balance of it being, and it's your work-life balance as well. That for anything is just finding the right balance of it, is not going too hard into it, and then just still kind of just finding that right idea between here is something that's balanced, and here's being too obsessive.
Yeah, I think that's. Yeah,
I think that's for anything.
Yeah, that goes for anything, really. That's kind of like in anything, like in every aspect of your life. Yeah, for sure. Did I ever meet anyone famous on VR chat? Nope, never.
I haven't either.
Don't know anybody famous on VR chat.
Nope. Anyways, Waffles, back to you.
So, my first introduction into VR chat was with the whole Knuckles explosion and stuff like that. It started getting a lot of popularity.
Damn it, Matt.
I had heard of it actually before then. It had started actually getting some ground before the whole Knuckles explosion. And I had actually been watching a lot of the older Twitch streamers that got into it and stuff like that. Like, I think the OGs, I can't even remember half their names.
Who's Johnny? Who is this Johnny?
Johnny is famous. Nope, don't know who you're talking about.
Who is this Johnny?
What Johnny? What are you talking about? No, I mean, I've met a lot of the big time streamers and stuff like that on VR chat. Just, they're all just people, as far as I'm concerned, on VR chat, and hung out and talk with them and stuff like that. And so that originally I got on VR chat because it seemed like a really cool. I watched all these streams, and everybody was having so much fun in this virtual world. I had remembered. Go ahead, Brad. You look like you want to say something.
Nope, you're good.
Oh, okay. You look like you want to say something.
No, you're good.
I remember seeing people in the original, the bar that everybody used to go to, the original Pug.
Great Pug, yes.
The original Great Pug. I remember seeing some role play on there, and people were like super funny and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, what are they doing? Where is this? What game is this? And looking into it, and it's like, oh, this game called VR chat that nobody's ever heard of, and nobody had a place to hang out in VR. And they were doing role play. The first thing I was, of course, me being the big role playing nerd that I am, was very attracted to the idea of playing a character in a video game. we had just had this whole discussion about how I was very attracted to role playing, and I've always been a big RP boy. Yeah, that really brought me to want to go explore this place where I could be anything. And when we say anything, I mean anything.
Yeah.
Sometimes to our detriment, we can be anything that we want. Yeah, if you can get past all the memes.
There's a lot of them.
But I liked the memes too. They were hilarious. I thought it was funny as hell. So, I didn't actually join VR chat for a very long time. I just watched streamers play it, and I was like, I was in. So when VR chat first started taking off, me personally, I was not in a good place. I was in kind of a darker place. I had just moved into this new house. I had lost my job. I had, I didn't get out much. I had fallen into a place that was very dark for me, and the way that I escaped it was watching these other people have fun on VR chat and stuff like that. And I, in a almost escapism way, I would just watch them and vicariously live through them and their adventures on VR chat and talking with people and being normal and having these fun conversations. Normal.
No, yeah, I was gonna say quote unquote normal.
Normal or not, they were having fun and they were very lively and stuff like that, and everybody looked like they were having a blast, and I would watch a lot of that. And I eventually, after watching them for enough, I thought, sure, I'll go try it. I'll try VR chat. Why not? I'll go check it out and see what it's about. But I'm not talking to anybody, so I was a mute. I was a mute on VR chat.
Waffle's a mute? What is this?
Yeah.
Looking at Waffles now, can anyone really, truly say, looking at Waffles now, can see him being a mute? Like, I gotta ask the question for anyone in chat, is just knowing Waffles, for anyone who knows Waffles or seen Waffles, just, can anyone picture Waffles actually being mute? Because to me, it sounds so...
Now people can't get me to shut the hell up.
I was going to say, it's like, it's so difficult. Like,
now I can't stop.
I understand why you'd be mute and stuff, like, because we'll get, when we get to mine, I was mute. But, like, I understand, like, jumping into something you're not comfortable with being mute. Mm-hmm. But it's just kind of insane to think of you being someone mute, because you're so just, in a way, to an extent, extroverted.
Yeah. Extroverted. Yes.
Like,
yeah, I seem extroverted, but I'm kind of one of those in between boys.
You're really, when you're really comfortable, you're really extroverted. Like, that's the thing. It's just like, because we're always around you when you're comfortable, you always seem so outgoing.
It's very I'm one of those. I got a switch that flips. I'll be very introverted throughout the day, and I won't say jack crap to anybody, and I'll just be very focused on whatever I'm doing, and then, like, I'll just turn on the talk mode switch and hang out with everybody and have a good time. I'm kind of a little bit of both. Because even
in the subscriber hangouts with Johnny, is you find it really easy to get along with people. You have no clue who they are, because I barely know who they are, because they just showed up. I guess the other day is just we just met them just because they signed up, and they're like, here, and Waffles just goes, okay, new challenge accepted, let's go. What is your limit, and how far can I take it down? Like, that's what it seems like to me in my mind. Is just when
push those limits,
just like
try and test everybody.
So someone comes close to us when we're at the mirror or whatever, and we're talking, and just someone gets close. It's just Waffles just immediately like, new person, new challenge. Here we go. Let's see how.
I don't want people to feel left out. I wanna include them, because I just love the randomness of VR chat and stuff like that.
Which is great. There's always need for that. It's just so funny to me. Of just imagining Waffles shutting up.
I know.
To put it in a brutal way, it's just imagining Waffles being quiet and not saying a single word.
Sugar says that She was basically mute in VR chat at the beginning too. Yeah, I
I,
feel like that was a lot for. I think for a lot of people,
I
they
feel
were
like that's a
mute. You know.
standard thing because it's like I said before, it's a comfortability thing, and a lot of people,
Mhm.
especially on the internet, are very introverted, and the way you start going is being mute because you're uncomfortable in this area. You want to experience it, but you don't want to expose yourself too much. So your easiest way is to be mute, which is why it's
Mhm.
not uncommon to see mutes in VR chat. It's because hand gestures and everything work, and it's a
Yeah.
standard. You literally VR chat has set a standard that it's fine to be mute.
Yeah. Like I think that's a huge part of the draw for something like VR chat is you have the ability to express yourself in ways that we have never had access to before in the entirety of humankind, right? You can be whatever you want. You can move your hands and gestures and do things that you couldn't do with just a controller and a character avatar in a regular place. You can do, and in a way, you can communicate without having to worry about your facial expressions or your voice or some of the tougher stuff that have to do with human communication because we as humans pick up on everything. Like we read facial expressions, we read body language. There's 99% of communication, 90% of communication isn't even talking. It's all the other stuff that comes with it.
Yep.
And I feel like VR chat was a way for people to communicate online that hadn't been able to do it with more the simpler the methods of talking and stuff that had already been established
Well,
in video games before.
this is
Um,
my thought on it. Like in general, it's just the fact that IRL, you're so used to talking if you can. Like obviously, there's actual mutes out there who can't talk, and that's always one of those things that you deal with. But like,
mhm.
which is unfortunate. But it's just the fact that it's just like you always set a standard IRL that if someone you can if you're shy, you won't talk until you're addressed, and then you always feel like you need to talk because you have that ability. Whereas
Mhm.
online, especially in VR chat, it's almost set as a presence that you don't have to talk, so you don't. You just gesture or whatever in a different way, or use an emote or what, or type to somebody else who can talk. It's just that standard has been set, so it's not as natural
Right.
for you to force yourself to speak. Because IRL, you almost feel that you need to speak because someone's standing directly in front of you. Online, it's not as a thing where you feel like you have to. Also, hi Dechi.
Yeah, I think because you don't have to, that it makes a lot of it adds a comfort level. You can be more social. You can actually get that social interaction that you wouldn't otherwise. People expect you to speak in real life. They don't. There's no. You can't just walk into like. You can't just have people are having a conversation and you just don't say anything because otherwise people just
Well, especially
expect that
especially when you
you're.
talk to. Like
Yeah,
if you're actually
exactly.
addressed, like for me, like IRL, if I'm not addressed, a lot of times I'll shy up if I'm not comfortable in a situation.
Hmm.
But if I'm addressed, I have to talk. There's no
Right,
getting
you're
around
forced
it.
to talk, and then it comes out as like, I don't know, because you were so inside your head up to that point. You were just watching the conversation. You were just thinking. You were just being like, I hope nobody talks to me. And then, oh, hey, so what's your thoughts on this? The color
The
of
this because
chocolate tastes great in the morning.
so
And you're like, and
so
they're like,
because
all right, not talking to that person.
yeah, I know. But considering we're on this topic and you've gone through a little bit, think I should address my situation at the beginning, just so we're all caught up on at least the same level.
Uh, get, let,
Okay, you're gonna go.
I'm gonna
Okay,
read a few
okay,
things in
I
chat really
saw them,
quick.
but yeah, that's fine.
Sugar says that she's actually super duper shy. Just wait till TwitchCon. I refuse to believe it. No, Sugar, we will. We're gonna go out there. We're gonna be social. It's gonna be awesome. But yeah, I mean, I am too. I mean, I'm not a super socialite. I don't really go to bars that much and stuff like that. I'll I'll have fun talking to people if it's just friends and stuff like that. But I'm not like I don't go out of my way. It's not like VR chat where I'm just like I see a random person. I'm like, hey, bro,
How's
what's
it
up?
going? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of like that too. But I think it's all about who you're with, to be honest. Celestia says, I got into actual games later on. I think people have to be careful. Anything can become an addiction. That's true. It
Yes.
can be fun as long as it's taken in the right mindset, too. That's something I want to talk about later, too, is video games and how they changed me in a bad way. Because so far I've been like, oh yeah, it got me into RP and stuff like that.
There is a lot
But
of
at the same
downside.
time,
There is a
video
lot of
games
downside.
did become an addiction for a while in a lot of places, like League of Legends. We'll definitely tie those back in together. That were unhealthy for me. You know,
There's a
gave
lot of
me
stuff
an
that-
excuse
yeah.
to put off everything,
Yeah.
and it can become dangerous. Brain is shy only until someone talks about Siege.
See, even if IRL or something, someone talked about Siege, I'd probably still say
Bran,
say
what's your
start.
favorite character in Siege right now?
That's a difficult question. I haven't answered. It's so
Give me the
difficult.
rundown. Give me the lowdown.
Oh God, no! I'm not doing that. Hell no.
You've been proven wrong, Valiant.
We can do that later on. You know, we'll bring
talk
up
about
we'll
that
bring that
later,
up
yeah.
later on. We'll bring it
Yeah, of course we can't have a topic about video games without you talking about Siege.
No, yeah, we'll talk about that later on because that's obviously a huge part of me. But
Drunk Bran is a different brand.
Drunk Bran
played
is-
Drunk Fall Guys last night.
surprise, surprise, Drunk Brand's different because there is no filter. That's not surprising. That's a lot of people. Dechi says online a lot of the anxiety is taken away. Lets people be themselves or what they want to be. Yeah. That's sometimes that obviously the opposite effect sometimes happens online is that you don't feel as I guess it's not people don't feel like they're going to be judged as much because they don't know the actual person on the other side because it's just behind a screen or whatever. So sometimes that anxiety is taken away, and that's what happens in toxicity and cyberbullying, and obviously that's where that comes from is people don't feel like there's consequences at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's another. Yeah, that's a big problem with online interaction is that there's no consequences, and that's just the internet in general. That's a big problem.
Not even Brand holds responsibility for Drunk Brand. No, there is no. I don't hold any responsibility for Drunk Brand. If Drunk Brand becomes really extremely wholesome, he becomes extremely wholesome. If he just says some really bullshit thing, that's what's gonna happen. I hold no responsibility for my drunk self.
Sugar is right. VR chat is not as obligated, I think is a good way to put it. You're not as obligated to respond like you have more leeway in how you respond to situations in something like VR chat. Good. You know, a lot of people shun VR chat because they don't understand it and stuff like that. But for people who aren't socialites as much in real life, it can be a good way to fulfill the human need of socialization for a lot of people. And I think it's something that's very it's going to be a huge part of human culture in the future as we develop VR technology a lot and stuff like that forward, for sure.
Anyways, pushing this to the side for a bit.
Yeah, what were we going to talk about earlier before I got just sidetracked?
Speak of my experiences with VR chat first. We'll go. So
Go ahead.
I'll speak.
Sorry.
I'll quickly go through this, and then
Yeah,
so that
yeah, go
we're at least caught up to where you are, where you said you were you were just about to join
Yeah,
VR
how
chat.
did you get introduced
So
to
let
VR
me
chat and stuff
let me
like that?
quickly run through that so that we are at least on a similar page. So my introduction was kind of similar to yours, except for me. Oh, here you can go ahead, go do it. I see it. Do it.
Not to derail what you were talking about
Do it.
earlier, Brad.
Go ahead. Do it.
At the risk of derailing your conversation,
Now,
by the way,
Oh.
anybody who doesn't know, this is the new Squaffle. This is a squeaky toy that I got. I accidentally broke him. I broke his eye off, and his squeaker broke. We performed surgery on him the other day while I was playing Surgeon Simulator, and we put an eye patch and a new squeaker in him, and I've never been a more proud boy in my entire life.
you gotta squeak it again, and then you got
Thank you,
Waffles
Steve.
Too Sexy.
Oh, I got another squeak? Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm so stupid. Thank you, man, for redeeming the squeak. It makes me feel better.
And you got
I'm
some.
sorry, Bran.
Yeah, you got some waffles too sexy, and then some
Waffles
stretchies.
too sexy, and
Oh,
then sugar redeemed
and then more
stretchies.
squeaks.
And then more squeaks from so many. Hold on.
Yeah, that's that's the thing, Matt. Is we're not
Okay, I
as
gotta
serious.
stop. No more squeaking, or else I'm gonna. My roommates are gonna be mad at me.
What's a serious
can-
podcast, Matt? Like that's not happening here.
We don't have serious.
We don't have
podcasts.
serious podcasts.
No. We're not allowed. That you can't expect Waffles for Chumps to be on a podcast and expect it not to get completely derailed at some point with stupidity.
Anyways, my introduction to VR
Sorry,
chat
man.
was kind of similar to yours. It's all good. I expect it to
Thank you,
happen
guys.
sometimes. But yeah, but my introduction was kind of at the point of the meme of the knuckles, if not after. So he has a bag of 20 of them. Yes, he does. But yeah, my introduction to VR chat was like kind of where the knuckles meme hit, and then I started watching a lot of different YouTubers who kind of did it. It just popped on my feed. It wasn't something I was interested in exactly, but there, a couple of people just mentioned it to me, and I was just like, oh, I'll take a look at it and stuff. And
What were you watching a lot of video game related YouTube videos at the time, or they?
there was a
just,
lot
like,
of
come out
different.
nowhere?
It was more. I was watching a lot of more like funny moments of like Gmod or something like that, or like GTA or certain things like that. Like there wasn't. I was never really looking at like maybe the thing that probably got it was Beat Saber. Was I did watch a couple Beat Saber videos, which probably caught on the VR kind of thing and brought it, but like it more or less popped out of nowhere for me. And the things that that actually attracted me was chips or RP.
Chips.
Yeah.
Chips, gotcha.
Or,
Yeah, Chips. That was one of the OG boys. I actually did watch. I know as a person. You know what? Never mind.
As a joke, as a meme.
Explain,
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But yeah, I did watch a lot of Chips. That is one of the persons.
But
that was
but
the
his
OG.
his RPs were actually good because they were
Yeah.
very serious RPs and stuff. So like, yeah, who's Chips? Chips who? Yeah.
Chipsu.
Yeah, but like they were very serious RPs, so they kind of got me interested to look at it and then start watching his streams. And then it slowly at some point moved over to Nags. Like I found Nags, and that's where the serious input started doing is
Nags got you into
Nags was the one who fully inserted me into VR and everything, and into his culture,
Okay.
his community, and everything. Is this? That's when it dead hit, and I was just like, "This is actually really interesting." Oh my God, it's
YouTube.
Wiz! Holy shit, it's Wiz!
Hi, Wiz. Whoa.
What the hell?
Talk about a
Have it-
blast. Speaking of VR,
Yeah,
chat,
speaking of VR chat and a blast from the past, holy crap, it's
all
Wiz!
up in here just heard that VR chat discussion
Oh
happening,
my
and Wiz is like,
Goodness.
Yo. Hey, Wiz,
Hey.
it's been a long time.
No kidding. Yeah, but yeah, Nags was the one who got me into it really, and I started looking at it. And at some
Mhm.
point, this is how I found it. Johnny is he did a The Voice kind of thing, a kind of episode where he just brought a bunch of people singing, and Johnny sang on
Yeah,
it.
Wiz.
That's when Johnny sang on Nags' podcast or no, on his stream, and he rated and Nags rated Johnny after, and that was like the first time I've noticed Johnny. And after that, the community sing contest, yeah, the Voice, the community sing contest, it was that's when he rated Johnny, and that's when it was kind of like, oh yeah, this guy's kind of cool. Oh, and he's Canadian too. That's quite interesting. And it wasn't
He's
until
Canadian.
I actually started watching Johnny more, until I actually jumped onto VR chat, and I didn't have VR at the time yet, really. So I was in desktop, and I didn't have a great computer. I got VR shortly after that. But my first experience was in desktop, and I was dead mute, and I wouldn't speak for another like 4 months after that, or 3-4 months before I started speaking to people in there, because I am, for those who don't probably know me well, LRL, I am dead shy. If you can't tell, I am dead shy. I am like only really speak when I need to, or if I'm really extremely comfortable. Otherwise, I can't do it. I'm very bad in public places, because if you hear that stereotypical introvert kind of thing where it's just like you run off a battery, you can be on a group for so long, and then once that battery's run out, you have to be alone. Like there's no other reason. Otherwise, you're just gonna be like, I just want to get out of here. Please get me out of here. But like I run off a battery pretty much. I'm that typical introvert kind of thing.
That's the introvert thing too. I
Ouch, Matt. Fuck you too. Matt says he prefers me when I was silent.
Actually, there's a few friends I lost when I started talking. I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of, sometimes people are just like, some people are okay with.
I did create my like personality out of it, to be fair. Like a lot of things what I've known for is just like the brand boy, or the character I use for my emotes and stuff. A lot of that came from the VR chat character I used, which was a cute, adorable lolly kind of thing. It was mute, and too, so it was like it didn't really make a difference. But at the time, it was just like
I want to ask you about, so you don't really watch animes, or you didn't have a lot of exposure to anime.
Not at the time.
VR chat.
Not at the time. No, very little, if not any, exposure.
How was
confusing
going into VR chat, not knowing anything about anime? Confusing?
Very confusing, because a lot of it was just like, I've seen this artwork before, but I don't understand it. Like it
looks like a Dragon Ball character.
Yeah, exactly. Like that looks like something I seen. Like I had zero, very little. I watched
that on Toonami as a kid.
Not even that. Like I was really not into anime or anything. I didn't watch any of the mainstream animes. Like I had friends who talked about anime, and there was a couple people who was dedicated. I had a small group of friends within my group who was really into anime and would talk about anime. So
you'd been introduced.
So I've been introduced. I knew what it was, but when they were like, "Oh, you should get into anime," I was just like, "No, not my thing. I don't think so." So when I got into VR chat, I could recognize a couple of things, but it was a lot of really confusing things for me as introduced, and I just kind of went along with it.
As a person who watches anime on a regular basis and has watched like a lot of anime, it's still jarring to me sometimes it's still cringy sometimes when you get into an anime and you're like, oh, that's not how people should act at any point at any point at any time.
A lot of times I just saw the avatars, like, oh, those look cool, whatever. Sometimes I recognized the people, but other than that, it was a lot of just confusing things. And it wasn't until later on where it's just like people were just like, oh, talking about anime a lot more, and then I kind of got like the key in. I'm like, oh, I'm very out of it. I don't know really little about anime. Holy crap! Like the community's dead on anime, and I kind of feel left out, but it wasn't to an extent where it made me feel like leaving, because it was just like within Johnny's community it was a lot of like RP or singing and stuff like that, so it didn't make me feel completely out of it, because I was just hanging with a bunch of people. It's a social game, right? That's what my mindset was, but it was just like it was dedicated to anime kind of thing, so for me it was just like I felt left out of it, some parts of it, but not to an extent where it made me leave, because it wasn't everything's about anime. It's a social game. But if you know anime, it helps.
Yeah, I think it helps a lot, because anime is a huge. So anime, very easy art form to express in VR chat, because it's
the avatars are basically anime.
It's basically there was already, so a big part of VR chat was a lot of people just ripped MMD characters from this Japanese program called MMD, Miku Miku Dance, that was just a very rudimentary animation program that you could use with anime avatars.
Which is like what the world's based out of, which is what we had the world's.
Yeah, and a lot of stuff is based off of that. You could just literally just take these characters from this Japanese MMD program and put them into VR chat, and everybody was like, "This is easy. I have a character. It represents who I am." Bam. Even if you weren't into anime, a lot of people were anime characters because it would just be easy to be represented in VR chat as that character, and as almost a convenience. A lot of people have been introduced to anime because of VR chat too, and I have a lot of friends who are like, yeah, I'd never heard of anime until VR chat came around, and then now I love anime and stuff like that. It's pretty interesting how the world, how everything comes together. Everything comes up anime in the end. The Japanese will win in the end with their Japanese animation and their cool, awesome sword fights and stuff. Man, love anime. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Got distracted.
No, you're good. That's perfectly good. Good question too, though.
Some random friend told you didn't need VR to play, so you played. This is what Sugar said. Sugar Bomb.
Sugar
The
bomb.
only famous person you met and became friends with back in the day was Corpse. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
See,
I never really talked to Corpse.
it was definitely Johnny that got me like actually playing and involved in the community, which is why I'm here today and talk to a lot of you, because we're obviously, like we said last time, based out of Johnny's kind of area, and it was because of his.
Have Johnny on at some point and just talk about the old days, because
Well, that was the thing, is that it was so easy to get involved with the community because of how small it was. It was easy to get to know you, Sugar, or whoever else was there, Wiz, Matt and all of them, because it was such a small community. Everyone almost knew everyone. Barbie, who was here a little bit ago, she was always there. Cyberwolf, you can name all these people Bladesmith, you can name all these OGs who were in Johnny's chat all the time, and you can remember them because they were always there. It was such a small community to remember that now I don't have to remember 500 different fucking names in Johnny's channel because there's so many people that come in and go.
Yeah, it's it's crazy where our roots all come from, and how these small little communities of friends can develop into something that's huge, and develops into even their own sub communities and stuff like that. It's insane. Can you post a long pun joke, LJ? Sure, go ahead. I caught my son chewing on electrical cords, so I had to ground him. He's doing better currently and conducting himself properly. Well done, LJ. I commend you.
I commend you.
LJ, you know what? You're getting You're getting VIP for the day.
I'm
gonna give you VIP. I'm gonna give you VIP, and
for the next 24 hours, you are
for the
VIP.
next 24 hours, you're getting VIP. There you go.
No VIP.
There. You got VIP. Yep, you get it.
Join Ruku.
You can't deny it. It's either a punishment or a reward. Either one I'm okay with.
There's a punishment? Oh boy.
Join me for 24 hours at least.
For 24 hours, you can join Ruku in his VIP
Is it a punishment
status.
or a reward? Who knows? Yeah, so in VR chat, going back to VR chat, so I was a mute in VR chat when I first started, and I, in general, just ran around the pug, which is one of the bar areas in VR chat where a lot of people used to gather and stuff like that. I would run around there as a mute boy, just listening to conversations, pretending like I was being social, though I was kind of just hanging out and intruding on everybody's conversation. Eventually, though, I found some musicians who were playing in VR chat, and this was an old this is an old gang. They don't really get on VR chat anymore and stuff like that. But these musicians were very good. Uh, they just had fun hanging out and playing music in VR chat, which I was very attracted to. As a mute person, I could just relax, sit around, talk to them, listen to music, and I developed this own little community. Even being a mute person, even being someone who didn't talk, they would talk to me, and that made me feel like I was accepted as part of this community. And I could express stuff. Even I didn't even have VR. I didn't even have hands, but I could still manage to express myself, just in the base ways with the desktop, enough so that I could be a part of their conversations, and they would have fun posing questions at me. It was almost like there's a little bit with mute characters in VR chat, in a game like VR chat. There's like this tinge of mystery that kind of makes them a little bit more appealing. There's one, you don't feel like you're being judged, right? A mute character, you find yourself opening up to mute characters a lot in VR chat because it doesn't feel like they're judging you. It feels like they're just there to listen to you.
Which is what a lot of people need. Is just that's human instinct. Is a lot of people
to listen to, and that's what I was. I would listen to their music. I would listen to them talk and stuff like that, so they would endear themselves to me. And it just developed from there into a different kind of community, like a community that I wasn't expecting. Which was one of the first like talent show based communities in VR chat, because there was a huge music group or a huge music following on VR chat. There's a lot of music players who would just go into VR chat and they would want to express themselves and they would want to play their music. There was even some like comedians who would just want to do like stand up and stuff like that. And we wanted a place where these people would feel comfortable and had a place to broadcast their talent or their music or whatever they wanted. So we tried to set up a talent show style thing. The Star Collective, yeah, that was a long time ago. I have really fond memories of the Star Collective. Honestly, it was one of the best times ever. It was just a place for people to play their music in a setting where they couldn't, it's being like a person who goes out, right, and just plays on the street corner. It's not easy. To go out into the real world, take your guitar, play on the street corner, and have people real life people walking by you and stuff like that is a whole different thing than just playing for a small group of friends or something like that. And on VR chat, just in the way that it helped people socialize, it also helped musicians and creatives get their stuff out there and let them broadcast what they wanted to create out to the world for other human beings to see. So VR chat was also really cool in that way. There's a lot of creative people on VR chat. It's a very creative place. For instance, TFM Johnny. He had joined the Star Collective, and that was how I was introduced to him and stuff like that. But yeah, it started off as a place where I just wanted to see everybody's creativity, because I love creativity. If there's one thing about Waffles for Chumps, I love creativity. I want to see people create as much stuff as possible and show their ideas to the world. That is like my raison d'etre, is to try and facilitate as much creativity as I can, because I love seeing cool stuff people makes. I love like art and music and all that kind of stuff.
To your point, and to your just detriment to try to do that, technically this is also doing that creative output for at least myself and you, and having people just listen to us in a sense talk, like that's our output.
This is more me just being like blah 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 blah.
But you still are carrying on that tradition by allowing both of us, by agreeing to do this with me and with our plans to have people on in the future, we're allowing others to do the same in this aspect. So it's technically, in a good sense, you are showing that still, which is fantastic. Just to know that, and just to know that's where your origins began, and that's kind of like we're still doing that today with having this podcast and just allowing one, our own output, and two, in the future, others' output on whether it's certain topics or just kind of spilling anything they feel like talking about at the time, just because we rant for hours on whatever we want to feel like. Right, we've gone on topic so many times,
you know, and that's a big thing I want to open up, and you know, that's why I definitely want to have guests on here and stuff like that at some point, because I like hearing everybody's perspective and giving them a place to express themselves as much as possible. Maz says we should do another show like that in VR chat. I would love to. So the Star Collective didn't work out that well because people, once it got big enough, it started getting really big. It started getting huge. And what had originally started off as a place for people to express themselves and just be creative turned into a huge, you know, people wanted to become known off of it. They wanted to make something out of it. They wanted to make money off of it. They wanted to promote their streams. They wanted to blah 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 blah, which I'm okay with and stuff like that. The problem is once you start incorporating those things,
clout, more or less,
starts becoming less about the music and more about the clout, and it turned into a big, and eventually it all just crumbled underneath our feet. And so that didn't turn out too well. But I did find Johnny, which was a person who had joined the Star Collective, and they had a lot of potential, and I immediately latched on to Johnny because he was an amazing singer. He was a
you sound like an agent. You sound like an agent. I immediately attached on to him. Signed to that contract.
I essentially kind of almost did, man. From after the Star Collective collapsed, I was like, yo, Johnny, I'm going to do everything I can to help you become a big boy. You're like, because your singing is amazing. And that's what I did. I just did everything I could to help Johnny try and become a bigger streamer. And that's where VR chat took me to this day. And I haven't been on VR chat as much lately because I've been streaming.
I think VR chat's definitely given us all an outlet to originally meet each other. And as the years have gone by, it's kind of died out. There's not as much entertainment in it. And you can see that through streamers or just in general from when it was back there where it was at its peak to now. But you can't live down the credit you have to give for us, the social part of it. That has allowed us to get to where we are today. The friends we've met as much as it sounds cliche, the friends you meet along the way on it, it's allowed us to be a different person, and definitely I feel like has the biggest impact on us over the past 3-4 years or less, or whatever it's been.
Video game influence on me and probably you and a lot of us, Maz and Sugar in this group, a lot of us, biggest influence by far is VR chat. I don't even know if you could call it a video game at this point. It's a social platform, and it's done so much to change.
Yeah, to an extent you can classify it under like something like Facebook or something, where it's just like it's a social platform. It's not to an extent there's video games parts to it, but it's a lot of it is just a social platform to meet new people or to talk to others.
It's another chat program like Skype, except for virtual. This is literally VR chat. That's exactly what it is. And VR chat gave you a job. Yeah. Sugar found a job and, you know, a whole way of life out of VR chat. Johnny wasn't a big streamer when he started VR chat, and he made something out of it and stuff like that. And it helped. It definitely helped me find a group of friends that I can appreciate and people that I will remember for the rest of my life. It helped me meet you, which I'm doing a podcast
Yeah,
with you
I was gonna
currently.
say like that.
So
That's
to say that it had an influence on my life is no small understatement. And it's crazy how my life just went from this like me playing video games as a kid, as a boy who just played video games. It was like, I want to be a video game character, and running around with all his friends on Dogwood Lane in Georgia, with my 4 friends on the street, to me being, someone who plays video games in front of a lot of people and stuff like that, and met this whole community of people in this role play centric VR game is crazy. It's funny how all these little threads and stuff tie to different parts of your life.
yeah. Well, you definitely look back on it, and especially for me too. Like you look back on it, and you just see how much influence it's had. Just knowing that if I didn't do that one thing, my life would be completely different, because I guess I didn't really talk to my origins. I was in college at the time when I started finding VR chat, and a lot of those high school friends I had, obviously you don't hang out with them, and everyone experiences this at some point, is that you lose those high school friends a lot of the times. And so I became a real big loner in college, and that had a giant effect on me. And then finding this, to be able to meet a lot more people and talk to a lot others outside of just no one, essentially, other than classmates, was a huge social boost for me. And in a sense, it's allowed me to be a little bit more social than I ever would. Obviously, I would love to be a little bit more social IRL, but that's a little difficult for me. But it's at least given me an opportunity where I don't shy away as much anymore.
Oh yeah, I've definitely noticed I've changed a bit too, even in my interactions with people IRL, over the past couple of years, just from my interactions with people on VR chat. I find myself doing. A lot of times people don't understand what the heck. Like I'll do like, it's over 9,000 or some anime reference that nobody in the real world has. They're like, what the hell are you talking about? I'll say really crazy stuff and things like that are references to animes and VR chat and things like that, and people have no idea. I'll get weird. I'll be like, hello, cousin, how are you doing today? And he'll just be like,
No.
please don't come within 10 feet of me.
Matt says VR chat helps him mute Neko's 10 out of 10 goat.
Very valuable skill to have. Maz says, so something people don't really talk about is how VR chat opened 3D modeling, game dev, and likes up to people. Yeah, it really did. That ties in with the whole creativity aspect, and not just musicians and things like that. 3D modeling. There was with this influx of people wanting to get their virtual avatars. There was people who wanted to make cool avatars for people, and it definitely opened up the whole avenue for an entire different branch of video game development, which is just 3D modeling, which is a huge part of VR chat. Which a lot of our friends, Sugar, have made careers off of and stuff like that.
Sidetracking a little bit from VR chat, something that Ruku said I think is really important for VR chat, not only VR chat, but for online in general, has been the fact that we have gotten to know so many different cultures from all across. Because a lot of the things we do is based out of our own culture, whether that's just American, United States culture, Canadian culture, UK, Asian culture, whatever you want to do it. You talk to people that you probably wouldn't talk to, because even cross-border stuff, like me and you, there's a good chance you wouldn't get to know the people across the border from you if you don't go experience it or don't know someone down there yourself. So even the small distance is a huge thing. But now you take that small distance and take it to halfway across the world. which is basically what I did. Like
Yeah.
for like I got to know a girl. For those who don't know, Aoi VR, very close friend, and like we talked almost every day. And she's in Malaysia. She's halfway across the world from me, but her culture is so much different. And it was just one of those things where it's cool to get to know. It's such a different culture that I'd never experienced in my
Yeah.
entire life.
You never really talk to anybody from those kind of cultures.
And would I ever
On
really?
the other side of the planet.
If it wasn't for online, would I ever talk to anyone on that other side? Unless I went over there?
Right.
No. Because even if I went over there, it'd be a couple people, but I wouldn't get to know their culture because that's just not something that I might have not thought of.
VR chat, the great connector.
Well, online in
Yeah,
general, online
Baz says
platforms in general, just giving people that opportunity.
Yeah, Mez says it made the world a smaller place in terms of perspective. Yeah.
Well, people
It really.
again, people say that like you always hear the wow, the world is actually such a small place, and you just like, yeah, you're right, but don't really think about it too much, and then you get involved with something like this, and you're like, holy shit, you know what? It really is easy to connect with people.
Yeah, I met someone in VR chat. I met someone from where I live the other day, and it was really jarring. I was like, "Oh, hi. You know exactly where I am," and we had this whole conversation and stuff like that about my city and stuff like that. And it was just like I was literally just going to public rooms in VR chat. I was just walking around VR chat, and the dude
not as convenient
found
as
out
your
where he's
story.
from.
But it was just like from Johnny's hangout. There was this one of the first ones. There was this girl who lives very close to me. It was just if I drove like an hour or something down a certain way, I'd probably be where she is. I was just like,
Oh, yeah.
that's
Well,
really
yeah.
convenient. Like, holy shit. It's kind of scary, but that's also kind of like, oh, crap.
Yeah, it's a little scary. Yeah, Ruku says too close for comfort.
Too
I
close.
mean, yeah, it kind of it feels jarring just to see like someone so close to you,
You met-
and, like the things that you, in a way, you're just like, please don't tell anybody what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Chat. I don't think it would go over too well in the real world.
You learned a lot. Econ, yeah. Also, yeah, Mass, 2 minutes away. Jeez.
Whoa.
Oh,
Maz says, "Oh my God, I remember when I met with Build with Bricks. He lived 2 minutes away from you when you were in New Zealand."
that's crazy.
Wow. Well, New Zealand, there's like 2 cities where everybody's at, and that's it. You're either living in the middle of nowhere in New Zealand, or you're living in the city, and those are the two places that you can live at in New Zealand. So
Still, that's still just
still,
a crazy
2
thing.
minutes is pretty short, even for Auckland. You maybe 10 people from New Zealand. Yeah, I like, on a little sidetrack. I love hanging out with people from New Zealand. It's such a cool. They're always fun to hang around. My dad lives in New Zealand, so I know a few New Zealand people and stuff like that, and I always love to go when I can. Ruku says, you maybe passed by them at IRL, maybe even said something, who knows. Well, the guy I met on VR chat worked at a bar, and I've been to the bars, and I knew what bar he was a bouncer at one of the bars, and I had met him before. I have met him in real life. And yeah, it was very strange. It was really weird. I didn't know how to, like, on one hand,
Comprehend it, kind of thing.
yeah, it was so weird. I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I've been to that bar before and stuff like that. But at the same time, like, I didn't want to give away too much information to be like, yeah, we should hang out sometime and go hang out at the bar and stuff like that, because I don't know, there was something inside of me that was like, distance yourself from anybody who can connect VR chat to real life. Just get them out of here. Just nope. Those two worlds should be completely separate. Even though I've streamed VR chat before, and anybody can connect it if they know me in real life, because they know I stream and stuff like
Well, that's
that.
the
But I don't
difference.
know. My brain internally was just like, nope, keep them away.
I guess it
He
depends.
could tell secrets about you that no one should ever know in VR chat.
I guess it depends how close you get to the person, and then it becomes one of those things where it's like, I guess you meet an IRL friend now, kind of thing, depending on if you
Right.
became closer with them. Also, Matt was just like, as a British person, I realized we are a rare breed on VR chat.
All right, I've met a lot of UK people.
I've met a
I've
couple.
quite a few UK people on VR chat. I don't think they're that rare of a breed. I don't think so.
I've met a
Or
couple.
maybe I'm just
I don't know how many exactly, but
maybe I
I've seen
just
a couple.
attract British people.
Maybe
like-
just with that sexy voice, you attract
Yeah,
all
that's
the
what it is.
British people.
They're really attracted to syrup and butter.
Matt says he's met like 3 max.
Really? Huh. That's you. I'll have to introduce you to. I gotta get all my British friends to hang out because they have so much in common.
We're
They're
gonna have a
British.
British hangout, and I'm gonna all
British
the British
hangout
British friends. here.
hosted by the American Waffles.
Yeah,
Response.
exactly. Posted by the American.
No, I've met a lot of people. I have almost more UK friends than American or any other cultural friend in VR chat. I have a whole lot of UK friends. I don't know what it is. It's weird. Back in the day, it was weird to have friends far away, Ruku says. You'd know everyone in the neighborhood, and was normal to give your address. Now you have friends all over the world, but giving them a general location, no way, too scary. Yeah. It's funny how that is. Like, the more you connect with other people in the world, that almost comes back to the anonymity thing on the internet. And it's like, the more people know about you and know where you come from and stuff like
You
that,
didn't
the
make it
scarier
the fams
is.
together.
Because your one protection on VR chat and the stuff that helps you be more social and stuff like that is the fact that nobody knows anything about you personally in real life. And that, I think, helps a lot of people socialize in video games and VR chat in general. And yeah, that's definitely a huge part of it, is if they don't know anything about you, then you get a clean slate. You don't got to worry. You can just say whatever and do whatever, and people will judge you just based on that. But as soon as they know more about you, they'll judge you based on your culture or your location. And a lot of people are scared about that, myself included.
Yeah, I think that's always the big thing, and that's just human nature for a lot of us, is just being judged based off just who we are, and in a sense, just
Yeah.
from where we are, what we look like. Obviously, looks is a big thing that people are afraid of, and surprise, surprise, I am too, because I don't do face cam that often, and this was like the one thing I'm doing face cam more consistently, and it's nowhere else will I ever do this, because my streams will be either maybe once in a while a hand cam just to show my FPS skills through that, but face cam's not really a big thing on my streams because I don't want it to be, for multiple reasons. But
Yeah, well,
it's just
playing video games and VR chat, and did you ever think that it would progress into showing your face on a webcam and having a podcast?
not at all. Not if you asked me, like even a couple months ago, if you asked me if that'd be a real thing, I'd be like probably not.
Nah.
Just because I'd be too shy to do it consistently, or just I wouldn't have the ambition to go through with it, or whatever the case is. It's just not what I would have seen myself doing. And we'll see how it goes as this goes on. Because I like
it. I love that.
I'd love to
webcam.
keep.
I think you got a very attractive face, Brad.
Oh, thank you very much,
You
Waffles.
look great. You're awesome. A big part of
Also,
being
thank you,
on
Akon.
webcam is just getting used to it. It's just it's all just once you get used to your face being up there. I had a
You single? Akon. Oh
he's,
my god.
he's taken.
Says
He's
Waffles.
not single.
Oh no.
Waffles has dibs.
Waffles has
nobody lay a
dibs.
finger on my brand.
Oh no.
It's my
Don't
delicious
even go
brand.
there.
You can't have them.
Someone's gonna make yaoi out of that one.
Ruku says, you make fun of American-gun culture, but you don't judge a book by its cover. You make judgments based on your experience. Yeah, I I think there's a lot of sensible people in the world.
I'll fight, says
that
Akon.
don't judge culturally, especially in the internet digital age. The more we're connected with each other, the less cultural biases we're gonna have in the future and stuff like that. And every kid nowadays is connected to everybody in the entire world. So.
I think it's how you get introduced to it, because to me, culture barriers weren't a big thing, but that's because I got introduced to something where to in a way that as a child it didn't matter. I didn't care the color of someone's skin. I didn't ask questions about it. I didn't care about
When you were a
what
kid,
we were just friends.
Did they play video games? All right, cool.
Well, even at that, it was
You're
just
my
like,
friend now.
are we good friends? Are we talking a lot? Are we just getting along together? Yeah, we did, and that's how I got introduced to it. And it's just like when it was a big thing later on when you learned as a teenager that this is a big part. It was, to me, it was more or less like, I see why, but I don't care enough to really address to care who someone is, as long as you're a good person or something and we get along. Free to do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the internet as well, is that the cultural barriers, no one cares really. Everybody's just, it's at least in the circles I'm in, it's kind of just, it's definitely becoming, people are becoming a lot more attuned to each culture and stuff like that. But that's a whole separate conversation.
It's a whole separate conversation, but it's something that
maybe we could make a podcast out of that.
It's something that needs to be. I think it needs to be something here. I'll talk. Yeah. I'll write that down. But like.
Yeah, write that down.
But write that
down as a topic.
It's a big topic that needs to be talked about, though, because there's so many different people who don't understand and aren't introduced in the right way, and it causes so much tension that's unnecessary.
Well, I guess in a way, video games have influenced my perception of other cultures, because I've met a lot of people from different. For instance, the Star Collective. Before it became the Star Collective, and that small group I was talking about that played music and stuff like that. One of them was Venezuelan. They didn't speak much English and stuff like that, but they had a beautiful singing voice, amazing, absolutely gorgeous. I think she streams now. I haven't talked to her in a very long time. I should definitely. Kaipi Sings, I think, is her Twitch handle, but she had a great singing voice. She had actually done some voice acting for the Spanish version of what's that called? What's that? There was a cartoon. I forgot the name of the cartoon. It was with the gems and the like Steve. I forgot what the name of the show was called.
Not ringing many bells for me. Also, if it was Spanish, it's probably not good for me because I'm up here in the north and we learn about French. Not Spanish.
Steven Universe was the name of it. Yeah, she did that.
Oh,
anyways,
okay.
Yeah, so she had amazing singing voice, and I learned a lot about Venezuela from her, and their political climate had forced. Anyway, there was some stuff I learned about Venezuela that I had not known before about Venezuelans' political climate and stuff like that, and it's very tough for Venezuelans at the point that I had met her, and stuff I would have never known. I would never have had
just
a
look
chance
at
to talk
just
to
look at their
somebody about that.
financials thing and everything, and their economy is just. But yeah, no, I understand what you're saying.
I've also met Japanese people on VR chat they're always great to talk to. They're pretty funny on VR chat. I really like talking to Japanese players on VR chat because they're all pretty pretty funny.
Yes, also
they're all penguins for some reason. I don't know what it is with the Japanese people in VR chat and penguins, but every time I meet a Japanese person in VR chat, they're penguins. And I don't understand why.
You're a penguin.
Somebody enlighten me into what it is with the Japanese and penguins in VR chat, because I have no idea.
Also, yes.
They all dress in like club penguin avatars.
Club
and other
penguin
avatars.
Hamburger country, nice.
Niceness.
I unplugged my headphones. Hold on.
Oh my god, I got waffles. It's going. Oh,
I unplugged my headphones.
I was gonna
My bad.
say it's leaking through. I was having.
Oh, were you hearing echoes?
I was hearing echoes.
Oh yeah.
I heard the
Yeah.
last bit of the
Windows-
Naisu, and
Windows
then
did
me
not know how to
and then me
handle that.
speaking.
Oops,
Um,
my bad. Technical issues.
Yeah. Also to address Wiz's thing. Yeah, like Ruku said, every other week. So not next week, but the week after.
Steven Universe Sugar Herd Steven Universe. Yes.
Yeah.
Was one of the friends was the Spanish voice actor for one of the characters of Steven Universe.
Anyways, to push us closer to our topic again. So we
I don't
talked
know
about
what you're
VR.
talking about. VR chat is about as close
So we
as we're gonna get.
so we've talked so we've talked about VR chat and how big of an influence it's had now. We've obviously transferred off VR chat, and I know we talked about kind of where you went and kind of where I went as well after like having VR chat of our past, just our likes and interests. But let's, because obviously this is going to be a topic, and obviously people were to mention it before for me, for my Rainbow Six stuff. But from you, Waffles, your direction of video games now, where is it at? What
Now?
Yeah, where are you at now? Because obviously we've said obviously a lot of D&D and League and different things have influenced you in
D&D,
Smash.
And the only time I really play a lot of video games right now, currently, is on stream, which, I don't play a lot of video. My life has gotten a little busier, and not so many video games for myself anymore. As much as I love video games, and I wish I had more time to play all the video games, but not nearly as much time. Right now, video games, I play on stream, and I hang out with people and talk about whatever video game I'm currently playing on streams, and it's a different way to experience video games when you have a lot of people watching you and someone to talk to, and you have to be entertaining and stuff like that. So, I do miss just hanging out and playing video games for myself and just getting lost in a experience in video games. Maybe there's a few games. I've been playing the new Monster Hunter Rise. I managed to get a couple hours into, which was really awesome. Just hanging out, just not streaming it, and just sitting there and just going. And that's a thing I've always done since I was a little kid, going all the way back to my NES days. When my dad first got me an NES, and I thought it was I was like, oh my god, NES, I love this, you're the best dad ever, I love you. I got the NES, and as a kid, and this is a habit of mine that I've never ever dropped, and I can never drop it, is sticking my tongue out while I'm playing and going. I don't know what it is. I don't know why, but I'll stick my tongue out and I will move my controller in the direction of like where even the controllers, 9 times out of 10 they don't have motion controls or anything like that, and I'll take the controller and I'll go.
That would be funny on Facecam.
When I'm trying to play video games, and it's actually kind of tough for me sometimes on stream not to be like and like forget I'm streaming. And
People
stuff
pay
like that.
attention to that while Waffles is streaming and see if you can ever catch that.
You will see me stick my tongue out a few times if you watch.
Okay, but I gotta ask the question then, if that's the case, if that's how the life direction's been pushed, which I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Has it influenced the way you, one, pick your games to play, and two, play the game?
Oh yeah, oh for sure. Well, I definitely influences the games that I pick for sure. I don't do too well with FPS shooters, as we might have discovered on the times when
And
I play Siege. I don't mind. I love FPS shooters. I'm just not very good at them. And I've played a lot of FPS shooters, but they don't really resonate with me very well. They, for some reason, it's probably because I grew up on controller, and there's something for me specifically about having a controller in my hand because that's how I grew up. I was born on the NES, or not born, but
Born on the NES.
my
I was
earliest
born
memories
on the
of
NES.
video games are with the NES. Almost like from the moment I started developing memories is when I was playing the Nintendo Entertainment System on a video game controller, and never was introduced to PC until maybe 5 or 6 years ago is when I really started getting into PC. And a lot of first-person shooters takes some PC prowess. You got to know mouse and keyboard and stuff like that. And I play a lot on PC now, but I always play with controller if I can. Controller feels more natural to you too, Rugu says. Yeah. Selexia says, the way my nerves are, you can't focus on them. It's hard to enjoy them lately. Yes, I get that with video games lately sometimes too, is if I've had like a really rough day, if my day is extremely difficult, I won't be able to just, if I've got like something coming up or I've got work to do, I can't just sit down and enjoy a video game because I'll feel like I have to focus on work, and any time I'm spending on video games time I'm not spending on doing something that needs to be done, and I won't be able to relax. So usually what I do is I'll just relax anyways and force myself to not think about things and watch YouTube videos. But I've been having a bit of trouble with that lately too. Anyways, yeah, it's
The entertainment
the controller is much more natural for me, so I don't do too good at FPSs and stuff like that.
the entertainment value you get out of streaming the games now, has that changed? This like the from when you used to play it as a kid or whatever it is, just kind of enjoying it for fun, where now you have to stream it and kind of provide entertainment while still trying to enjoy the game. Has that like taken a toll on what you enjoy when playing a game, or has that kind of stayed the same? It's just something else just isn't the same.
A little bit.
An extra layer, should I say? That's what I should say. It's an extra layer.
Streaming definitely is, it takes away from, you're not going to absorb as much about the game while you're streaming as you would just sitting there taking in information blank-faced with the screen just going and focus, because you're when you're quiet and you're just sitting there by yourself and you're staring at a screen, you're just absorbing information. This is what the screen is giving. This is the information you're receiving. When you add streaming and stuff like that, you're not going to get the full story. You're going to be looking at chat. You're going to be talking to people. You're going to be conscious of your facial expressions on like the camera and things like that, which is not to say that I don't enjoy it. I love streaming and talking to people and things like that. It's definitely an enjoyment. It's just not the same kind of enjoyment. It's more of that socialite enjoyment that I really like, is talking to people and hanging out and having someone to talk to and things like that, and the back and forth essentially, as opposed to just sitting there and getting lost in a world and just forgetting about everything else, which is what I get with like a lot of RPG video games and stuff. So it's a different type of enjoyment, and sometimes I miss the other type. Sometimes I miss just sitting there and absorbing a game, which with the new Monster Hunter Rise, I've just been sitting there just like that's my face the entire time I'm playing that game because it's so fun and I've been having a blast with it. And,
I expect you to have your tongue out still.
Yeah. Well, that's when a tough battle comes up. Anybody who's played Monster Hunter Rise, screw the Volvodon. I hate that freaking thing, and that thing can go to hell. That little roly-poly bastard can suck my waffle. I hate him so much. The Volvodon is a giant armadillo bear, and I hate him. Sorry, had to get that out. freaking hate the Volvodon.
I can tell. I can really tell, Waffles.
Ugh. Oh, you're like sitting there just charging up. You're just like, I'm gonna hit him with my super big awesome sword that I have. I've spent forever collecting this awesome sword that I'm gonna get. Yeah, take this. And then he just like bounces out of his way and he does like a roly poly ball. He's like Sonic the Hedgehog, and he'll just be on the other side of the map. And you'll be like, fuck. And you'll have to run to the other side of the field and chase him to slowly bring down your sword. And then he runs over to the other side. I'm just like, you little fool. But yeah, it's those kind of moments in video games that that I really like. Those are some of the moments you can get when you're really absorbed in a video game, and I miss that sometimes. Yeah, sure.
Obviously, a lot of your focus is turned to horror games, and I know we've mentioned it before. But is that just something
Chandler?
that? Well,
That was a raid by Chandler.
Chandler.
Oh, hey
Chandler
Chandler,
raid.
how's it going?
Oh,
Thank you for the raid. We were just talking about well, I was just talking about Monster Hunter Rise. But we've been talking about video games. How's it going, Chandler?
Hello. Welcome
Speaking
to the
of video
podcast.
games, what game were you playing, Chandler?
Let me guess, Arma, because I already know.
Oh, you already know?
I already know.
But yeah, streaming has changed my enjoyment a little bit.
Oh, and I got a raid
Nah.
from Nin. Hello, everybody. All the people raiding. Hello.
Raiders.
Welcome, Raiders. Welcome to the podcast, episode 2. We are 2 hours and 20 minutes in. Surprisingly. At least I am. 2 minutes 15 in for Waffles. Because I started mine a little bit earlier.
Are we 2 hours in already?
We are 2
Wow.
hours into
Whoa!
the podcast.
I feel
Taco
like
raid.
I've been talking
Hello.
for 15 minutes.
Is it casual?
Wow.
They were playing casual day of their Arma. We have been casually talking here about video games.
Yeah, we've been talking about video games and how they've influenced our lives, how
And we are-
they've changed our lives for the better or worse.
Better or worse, which I think we can end off on the kind of maybe not end off on
For
the
me,
worst, but kind of the downsides of video games, and then we'll bring it back up. But I think we'll stick to the topic of current video
Yes.
games right
Yeah,
now,
we'll talk about the downsides of video games is what we.
I think it's something that needs to at least be brought up.
Yeah, because I've definitely been to places where video games were not the best thing for me at the moment,
yeah.
and they definitely influenced my life in a bad way. Video
But
games are a great tool, but they're not always the best.
Before we go there, so you've been playing a lot of horror games, and obviously that's been
Yes.
something
Oh,
that's
yeah.
gone on.
And
And
some horror games.
is
I
that
hate
just?
them, but I love them.
It's
It's such a weird dichotomy.
So obviously we kind of talked about the horror games and your interest in the horror games before. Where do you get your enjoyment out of the horror games? I'm not a horror person myself, and I always hate horror games. I don't always get scared by that, but I'm just not an influencer. Is it like an adrenaline rush kind of enjoyment out of it, or where do you get your pure enjoyment right now out of streaming horror games? So I want the whole scenario of just personal fun and streaming content, because that's where I'm interested in, just the entire package of it, because obviously you're streaming it, and that's a big reason why you're doing these.
Right. So that's a complicated. Give me 1 second. Chandler says you're gonna go to bed though, but can you share how much video games you have changed? How much video games have changed your life as a whole? Yes, Chandler. If you can, before I get onto the subject of horror games.
He's a misogynist.
And while I think about my response to that question, because that's a kind of a complicated question, yeah, I want to hear how video games have, and anybody that goes for anybody in chat. If tell us let us know how video games
Yes.
have influenced and changed you as a person, how they've affected your life.
We're always looking for the input, but yeah, no. Anyone, if that feels like typing up a little thing, go ahead.
'Cause I'm
and we'll
curious
read
how
it.
it's affected other people too, because
What's affected all of us in a way. It's just where and how and when
Right.
are kind of affected us, depending on whether it's a FPS game or if it's a RPG game or whatever it is. It's clearly because we're all here, and Twitch is technically supposed to be I'm going to put this in quotes, a gaming streaming site.
streaming service. Well, it was when it started out.
Most of us are supposed to be into video games, if not all of us, in some way. So it's obviously affected us in some sort of way. But it's always interesting to see which way, because obviously it's affected you in a different way than it did me. Because you went from your
Right.
childhood kind of role play
Full
kind
dive.
of stuff.
Full dive into video games. Full dive,
Yeah,
baby.
where it's, as me, it was kind of more of a slow introduction to it.
Slow introduction.
But here we go. All right, yeah, if you want to go off
No,
on
I mean,
it.
yeah, it comes in all shapes, and video games are. That's the beauty of video games.
That
Quick
was,
summary:
yeah,
video games.
that was
taught
me stalling out. So you go read Chandler.
Chandler says video games taught me a lot of IRL stuff, along with medical, history, physics, etc. They've made me more social online and helped me make a shit ton of amazing and wonderful friends, like all y'all. Aw, thank you, Chandler.
Thank you, Chandler.
You too. Yeah, you're an amazing friend. Even though they might not be the best at times, it's always a lot of fun and help for you in a big mental way. Yeah, I kind of agree with that sentiment. In general, a lot of people don't see. There's a big stigma about video games, right, for people who don't play them, and how it's more of a corruption than anything else.
Well, there's a topic I want to go on to, but I think it's better to be saved, and that's the violence of video games and people's view on that. But I think that's something I want to save for later, because I want to go on a complete rant on that one.
Okay.
Because I have my deep feelings about people who say that, and and I have my giant input on it. So I think it's a topic
Okay.
that I feel like we should bring up later.
Save that for a different
but
topic
but
at
that
some
is
point, yeah.
but that to the point, yeah, it has big influence on life and things like that.
Okay. I think that's probably a good idea. We could write that down in
I
your
am doing
list
that.
of things to write down
I'm doing that.
for future podcast ideas. Chandler says everything is crashing and lagging. Oh
God.
no! So you're gonna be heading off. Thanks for allowing you to talk, and you will be heading out. Okay, Chandler.
Bye, Chandler.
Thank you for popping by. Thanks for the raid. Horror game, right? We were going. We were talking about horror games.
I asked you your question about the horror games. Yep.
So, horror games are a very strange phenomenon for me, because I have always been a scaredy cat. I've never been a brave boy. I used to have nightmares about. I used to read Goosebumps as a kid, and I would read like Night of the Living Dummy, and then have dreams about the dummy being at the foot of my bed and constantly talking to me. I used to have like night terrors and stuff like that as a child, when I would imagine I would see hallucinations of things coming up to attack me if I woke up in the middle of the night, almost like a sleep paralysis kind of thing. I've always been generally scared of things that go bump in the night. But there's like some weird switch in my head. There's some weird when I combine something I love, something that's pleasurable to me, video games, and I combine something I hate, which is terrifying bump in the night ghosty goos,
Horror, yeah.
and I put them together. There's a weird little weird zone of
Satisfaction kind of feel.
bizarre but satisfying, contradiction between the two.
Right.
Thank you for the hose, Demi. That really isn't fit in any other, like, I could watch a horror movie and it's like, yeah, it's scary and stuff like that. Essentially, horror movies kind of fill that same zone for me. I like movies and I don't like scary stuff, and for some reason I can't stop watching a horror movie once I start it. But there's nothing quite as scary as an interactable horror environment that is a video game. And I love horror games, but I can't get through them by myself. I can't just play a horror game and just sit in the dark and be like, okay, I think I'm just gonna get through this game, because I get wrapped up in video games. When I play a video game, I get absorbed. I get into the world. I get fully immersed, and I just sit there and stare at the screen with my tongue out, as previously mentioned. That isn't good in a horror game. Just that, when you get wrapped up in a horror game, it's not good for me. I'll be like up all night thinking of that shit. I'll just be like, where's the ghost at? Where's the where's the giant bugs that were attacking me? I don't want them to be. You hear a mosquito and you're just like, and you
So is that where the streaming thing comes in? Is that you don't feel that you're playing alone now, and then it makes it a little bit more comfortable, so you're not as quote unquote immersed in it to fear it?
yeah, that's essentially streaming horror games makes me feel like a big brave boy because I have friends with me, and it makes me feel special. And I can, get through these horror games because I know there's people also there with me, even if I can't see them. There's somebody else who feels my fear. There's somebody else who feels my pain, who's watching it with me. You can help me get through these horror games. Thank you, Frosty, for the 8 months. Thank you for the love. Appreciate it. People like Frosty who are with me during these horror games, and they're there to help me out essentially and laugh at my fears, which is still a form of support. I'd rather somebody be laughing at my fears than just letting me experience them and not talking. I'm totally okay with this. If my freaking out at the horror game can give somebody else enjoyment, I totally love it. So horror games, I think a lot of people really like it when I play horror games because it's a genuine fear for me. I don't like ghosty goose. I don't like spoopies. I'm a scared boy, and I've always been a scared boy.
Aww.
But with the power of friendship, anything can be overcome.
Go support Waffles in his horror stream so he feels like a big boy. That's the takeaway from that.
Riku hates that it's Fridays. He said, you wanted to watch Resident Evil 7 playthrough. You're watching the VODs, but you can't cheer-spoot me alive.
Which I think is a great thing to talk about later when we talk about Twitch, like on its own, which I definitely want to do Twitch on its own, a Twitch episode on its own, like streaming and content creation on its own.
Write that down on the topic list.
I think I already did it because I think I wanted to do it with Johnny because I think that's the biggest one. I think I wanted to do with Johnny.
Yellow says same. They get super immersed in games as well. Yeah, there's something special to be had about just getting lost. When I played The Witcher for the first time, man. Sorry, Brian. I didn't mean to.
No, you're good. Yeah, I'm typing, so you're good.
The Witcher 3, one of my favorite games ever because I got so lost in that world, and I was such a big fan. I love getting lost in really intricate and deep worlds. Another big reason why I'm a really big Dungeons and Dragons fan is I like getting lost in deep and immersive worlds that I can really, feel at one with all these characters. Ties into my RP loving, RP loving characteristics and stuff like that.
Nin says this is why I don't play horror games because she gets too immersed in them as well as and yeah, that makes sense.
Yep, I 100%. I don't play horror games on my. I'll tell you that much. I used to play horror games by myself. I played when I was a lot younger. This can also kind of tie into how video games have affected you. On the PlayStation 2, there's a game called Fatal Frame. Very, very terrifying game. A Japanese-based horror game. And let me tell you, if there's one culture that can do horror, it's the Japanese. Holy crap, Japanese are so good at horror. Go watch The Ring if you've never watched The Ring. It's a freaking terrifying movie. Fatal Frame, Japanese horror game. I highly recommend it if you want to poop your pants in fear.
There you
It
go.
was very atmospheric. It's one of those games where it was you travel through the land of the dead in a dead abandoned town that had some bad mamma jamma stuff happen to it, and
Mama Jama.
you would have to the crux of this game was you had to take pictures of the very terrifying dead ghosty goos that were trying to kill you, and that's how you beat them. Is you try to get as close as possible and take a good old mugshot of the
Good
ghost,
old mugshot.
which is terrifying because they were really well done for the day that they came. You know, that obviously games are a little higher
res,
graphics
yeah.
now, but when that came out, holy poopy! I stayed up all night. I remember one night when I was in high school, because this came out when I was in high school and stuff like that. I spent an entire weekend playing this game, getting maybe 4 hours of sleep the entire weekend because I didn't want to go to sleep. I was terrified. I didn't go to sleep. I stayed up all night playing that.
That's fair.
And I couldn't stop talking about this game, and I was just like, that was not a good week for me. This game was a whole nother level. I was living with my cousin at the time, and it would be like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I shared a room next to him, and I would be playing this game, and in the middle of the night he would hear, ah! And he came to my door and he was like, "What is going on in here? Help me. Save me from the ghosts.
Save me from the
They're,
ghost.
they're after me." And yeah, it was an interesting time. That's one of the only horror games I've ever played by myself. All the other ones, I had somebody play with me or watch me play it because I couldn't play it by myself. I
That's
needed
fair.
friends. Eventually, I got my brother to watch me play Fatal Frame 2. So Alexia says, "Sorry, I keep getting distracted. You haven't heard anything for a while. You're gonna go. You guess you'll just lay here. Oh, okay. No worries, Alexia.
No worries,
you
Alexia.
hang out, get some rest.
Yes.
Good night. Have a good one. Yeah."
Yeah.
Yellow says they become a character in the game you're playing, or you feel like you are in the game that you're playing. Yeah. Yep. I'll get absorbed in the game.
Pokemon trainee. I'm a Pokemon master, says Riku.
I'm not a Pokemon trainee. I'm a Pokemon master. You know, once you played enough Pokemon games, you pretty much. They should just come out with a Pokemon game where you've already beaten all, like a Pokemon game that's for people who've beaten all the other Pokemon games that are like Pokemon Master Trainer. Just come out with,
Master
you know,
trainer.
I'm a Pokemon god and I deserve to be treated this way, as opposed to starting out as a 10-year-old child every Pokemon game who doesn't know the first thing about Pokemon.
Oh,
You'd be like,
flip the
"Listen,
story
I've
on the
been
head."
playing since the Game Boy days. I'm a Pokemon master."
And then says, Bran, what about you? Do you get immersed? Depends when I'm playing, but a lot of the time I get immersed in a different way. I don't think of myself as the character, but if there's a game that interests me, my focus just turns onto games. And for those who haven't watched me play Siege or haven't known me to play certain games, I'll go dead silent. If I'm into a game, like your tongue thing, I'll go dead silent. Like I'll just play my game and just dead silence. Just play my game, just like concentrating and just going, no matter what it is. As long as I'm immersed in the game, I'll just concentrate. My concentration just turns to the game. So it's not that I'm thinking that I'm a character and get immersed in the game. It's more or less just the entertainment value. I just get immersed in it, and like hours go by of just me just having fun doing it, and I'll just be dead silent, just playing the game.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and it's just nothing, just complete silence, just absolutely getting into it. Yeah, I think it's a lot of gamers.
Which I guess brings me into what I play now, which is obviously Siege, which has been a big impact in me. Is that I, like you, I started on a console. A lot of my life was console before, like 2 years ago, I think, a year and a half ago now. My only experience with was console. So getting
that was a big part of mine was consoles. Is how I developed into video games. So definitely never PC.
so getting onto PC was weird at first, and there was a different things I tried at first on PC, but the first thing I got really into was Siege, or that's something that took over a lot of my time, and then I started learning it, and I had to adapt and learn and constantly play it. I had like Matt to play with and stuff, and a couple other people to play with, and that's where that kind of relationship grew, and just kind of for the game, and I just kept playing it, and obviously obviously a lot of people watch my content now, like for those who do watch me when I play Siege, and they're like, oh, you're really good and stuff to a certain extent. And obviously if like some kind of Plat 3, Plat 2 pro watch me, they'd be like, yeah, he's all right. Like, because I'm not really that good at the game. It's just I've played enough to it to understand good game sense to a certain extent that makes me probably higher than average skill wise, I'd say.
You're definitely higher than me, because I played Siege before, and I'm just like, oh my god, Bran, you're amazing. You're like actually hitting people, as opposed to like I'll peek my head around a corner and just like dead.
Yeah, and that just comes with a lot of play time for me, because you got to remember I had no experience with FPSs on keyboard and mouse before I played, or well, I played Insurgency, but I had no real good multiplayer sense before I played Siege for FPSs. So everything was new. The controls and everything was new. Like, I played a little bit of Siege on console, but I hated it because I hated the way consoles played for Siege. So it's just like, it was really difficult.
So you made the transition to computer because you weren't as happy about the way consoles.
I made the transition from console to PC because of VR chat.
Oh, okay. So
played
VR chat was the catalyst.
That's where it started, because I actually got a PC that way, and then I started playing it more, and then I got more games to play on that as I dedicated more time to a PC. And then Siege came around, and then I had to relearn controls through FPS, through mouse and keyboard. And time and the hours I put in Siege is the only thing that has made me a decent or higher than average player.
The amount of time, practice, just like anything. Yeah,
I have over 1,000 hours in that game, and that's the only thing that makes me like, well, that and watching videos in Pro League, like watching like pro players actually play the game and getting their ideas. Like, that's the only way I've improved. It's because now I know spots, I know when to pre-fire, I know what I'm looking out for. It's just complete knowledge of the game, and that's how I win my games. Or it's not natural mechanical skill, because I suck naturally mechanically. And for those who don't know what I'm speaking of, is your natural aim to hit.
Seems pretty good to me.
Yeah, your natural aim to hit something just off the bat, that's your mechanical skill, your natural mechanical skill. And you either have a good natural mechanical skill, or you have to kind of learn it and be a little bit better. But like, some people who play a lot of FPSs are just naturally good mechanically, and those are the people that are like the top fraggers and everything, and they're just naturally just
those people who like snap headshots and just like.
And it's just because they're naturally good at. They're just naturally good at video games. They're naturally good at FPS games. Yeah. I had to learn that. I had to learn, and the way I win my games.
A lot of practice in too. You aren't just naturally good at the mouse and keyboard. It's all stuff you gotta
obviously.
And people some people are gonna have better reflexes than others. Obviously,
yeah. Some people are just naturally, just instinctively come to them, like sports. Some people are naturally born with the ability to be more athletic than others, and it's just genes at that rate. But the thing I like about Siege,
the blue jeans, you could have black jeans.
Genetics.
Make sure you're wearing your gamer pants.
Genetics, Waffles. Fine. I'll clarify myself, Waffles. Genetics, I mean. But yeah,
Also,
no,
hi Chachi.
hi
How's it going?
Chachi. Yeah, no. But the reason I like Siege is because it's a lot more strategical than like COD. COD is just run and gun, and because I'm not naturally skilled mechanically, I can't just run and gun and kill a bunch of people. I'm not that. I'm not that kind of person. Siege allows me to use intelligence to outflank an enemy, outshoot an enemy because they don't know where I am, or because I have a better intel than they do. But I win my games because Siege is like this, off intel, off just ability to know where somebody else is, not because I'm better than them.
Right, which is this is a pretty big, like, all props to them for making a game rely on more strategy and thinking more akin to how it is in real life, where it's not about who has the faster reflexes, it's about who plays their cards better, who knows. It's all information is key in military operations. That's the big old that's the difference maker right there.
Which is
And
great because like a bronze 2 player could beat a pro player if they just have the better intelligence, and that's the best part about Siege is that like you do need to have good ability because as that bronze player you're never going to make it to a pro league, but you can win your gunfight. You could easily win your
Yeah.
gunfight. Like you could win 3 or 4 gunfights if you just have better intel. It's a
Yeah,
crazy
exactly.
it's a crazy
pretty
thing to
much how
think
it
of.
is, right?
It's a
Yeah.
crazy thing to think
If
of.
you got
But
if you got a
better
little
intel.
radar with a little dot that shows up, and the other guy doesn't, goodbye. You get wrecked, other guy.
If you have someone ping, like a good example for Z is you have someone ping
Or
where
if
the
you have
guy
better
is.
communication, yeah.
Yeah, they're dead. Easy.
Yeah,
That's all
you
that
can
matters.
call out the other guy and just be like, "Hey, that guy's over there," and the other guy,
Like,
he may be a great, amazing shot, but if you don't know where
if
you're
can,
at,
if
you
you
can
can,
just be like,
yeah, if he's not facing you and you
right.
you win. Like obviously you have to have some mechanical skill to win, but like it reduces that skill ceiling of just, oh yeah, shoot, I'm better than you because I just naturally am better at
Pew, pew,
shoot
bang, bang, I
at
got you.
reflexes.
I'm better. Which is more of the old
The
Call of
COD,
Duty.
the whole COD meta and
Back
everything.
in
It's
my
just
day, it was GoldenEye. That's what you were good at.
yeah, it's just
Back
the
in
whole
the Nintendo 64 area, before online was even invented, that's what we did.
Yeah.
We got everybody together and we played GoldenEye.
GoldenEye.
And my cousin would always pick Oddball, who would be the little short guys, and he would pick slappers only. So he'd be this little short guy going and karate chopping everybody, and he'd one-shot us, and I hated him. Oh, he always cheated with the little tiny Oddball character. Sorry, I had to get that off my chest.
yeah.
Ruku says the one time you played drunk. The one time you did great. The one time you played drunk, you are master gamer.
He's master
That's
gamer.
right. If you can play great drunk, you are.
Yes,
There's
man.
no other way you can prove that you're a master gamer other than being amazing while you're drunk. Nin says, I changed to computer only because you were like, I don't need to keep a console when I have a really good computer. Yep. 100%. Computer is just a really good console.
PC Master Race.
A lot of game companies have started to realize that, and a lot of games, there's not nearly as many console exclusives as there used to
Well,
be.
if we want to even go on that topic, is just consoles had to adapt to be like PCs
On
almost.
PC, right.
They're just miniature PCs, but with exclusives and DVDs and stuff, or sometimes they're just digital, which
Right.
to an extent just makes it like just buy PC.
They are just worse. They're just computers with less functionality.
Yep.
Is what a console is.
Yep.
So I think PC is definitely the way to go if you want to play the most amount of video games, because you don't have to worry about console exclusives or anything like that. You can just have access to almost all of them because everybody's porting to PC now. Chachi says, I have natural talent with all games when you start the game, but afterwards you have to train to keep doing so good. Yep. Well, I have zero natural talent with most games, and I have to really train my ass off to get any good with any of them. So
Well, that's one of the things where it's just like sometimes you can be naturally good at something, but as people get used to the game or you go higher in ranks or certain things, you need to concentrate
I'm
more.
good at strategy games and like intelligence-based games because those are like board games, and I have I have a history of board
Waffles
games
for
and stuff
Siege
like that.
Coach. Coaching.
Reflexes is where I'm not very good.
No, but siege
I'm much less good at reflexes.
I said siege coaching. That means you don't have to do you don't have to have reflexes. You just need strategy for your
That's right,
team.
I'll just beat them with my superior intellect.
Yeah, you just
Mind powers.
you just tell your guys.
Eyes in the sky, baby. Just give me a drone. That's all I need. I'll just watch them from above like a hawk. Just be like, "He's over there, Bran." Got him. That would be my, if I ever went into the military, that would be my designation. Not guy on field drone man who makes the shots. I'll call the shots, but I won't make the shots.
I won't make the shots, okay.
Demi says Halo Reach, Destiny, and Destiny 2 are your only shooters. Yeah, those Destiny's another one. That's where they decided to take the whole first-person shooter and turn it into an online MMO style game, which is pretty cool. Not a lot of games have really succeeded at that, and I'm curious as to where Destiny goes from here. No, I haven't played much Destiny though, because again, not too good at FPSs. And I used to dedicate a lot of time to MMOs, but don't have the time anymore, unfortunately. Demi says, Bran, when are you going to do sub goal for Outriders?
Outriders. I'd have to look into Outriders. I've never really looked into Outriders that much. I've heard some stuff about it, but I haven't looked at it. Maybe that's something that comes up. I don't know. I'd have to look into it. I feel like
Outriders is like a Destiny-esque multiplayer shooter, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Waffle's Disgaea playthrough? Oh man, I love me some Disgaea. I used to play that ever living heck. I've played all the Disgaeas. I never actually played the first Disgaea, but I've played every one since then. Disgaea, big old JRPG, entirely revolves around grinding your ass off and getting massive numbers. You start out the game doing like 10 damage to things, and by the end of the game you're doing like several million damage.
I know what you're talking about.
To stuff, and it's really fun. And there's a really good zone out game, and you just hang out, and I think I'll just gain 9,000 levels today. Because the game you start out at level 1, the max level is like 9,999. So
oh jeez.
So you just have a fun time just playing the numbers game. It's a good time waster. I love Disgaea. I can't wait for 6 is coming out in a few months, and I've been hyped about it for so long. I can't wait till Disgaea 6. Give me Disgaea 6 right now. I want it. Yeah, the new level cap is 99,999. All right, that was getting ridiculous. Now it's getting a little silly.
Now it's getting a little ridiculous. Is it, Demi?
Now it's getting a little goofy.
I'll have to look into it, Demi. We'll see. Maybe that's something that happens in the future. Anyways, before we hit we're getting close to that 3-hour mark. So,
man,
moving on.
We've been talking for a while.
We have been. So continue with so we don't go too long. How about we talk about the downsides of video games? We've been talking about the positives and everything that's influenced us, but we do need to address that video games are not all this shining relic that needs to be held top of the ranks, because it's not. The reality is there is a lot of it's a big double-edged sword.
They've been for me in the worst of times, and they've also been with me in the worst of times. They've helped me out. They've definitely encouraged a big part of my life, but they've also been there to distract me from large parts of my life, for sure. I used to play a lot of MMOs and stuff like that, and I don't anymore, but MMOs for me were kind of an escape during some times when I probably shouldn't have been escaping. I probably should have been dealing with life's problems, and it definitely affected my life in a negative way. It definitely was a distraction than a inspirational boon. And video games, and that's a lot of people who don't understand video games look at that part of it. They look at the part that's going to be negative and things like that, and for good reason. Like, if someone doesn't know how to handle video games, if they let it take over their lives and they focus entirely on video games and stuff like that, it can be it can be more of a detriment than a help, than letting you get through something.
Well, it was brought up earlier. It can cause an addiction.
And it can cause an addiction, yeah.
Which certain addictions are really bad. Like it to an
League
extent.
Of Legends.
It's like a drug to an extent if you look at it a certain way.
I would play MMOs instead of, so when I was a lot younger, I would play. I never really was on the World of Warcraft chain. I was on the I missed the train for World of Warcraft, and I ended up playing this game called Lord of the Rings Online. I had read all the books when I was a kid, and I love Lord of the Rings, and I was like, all right, I missed the Warcraft train. Everybody's already into it. Everybody's already really good at it. I don't even want to bother wasting all my time on World of Warcraft. I'm going to get into Lord of the Rings Online. I bought the game when it came out, installed it on my computer, spent the next 6 months of my life not interacting with humanity at any point. And I had a girlfriend at the time. And I had just gotten out of high school, and I was supposed to be looking for jobs and stuff like that and sustaining myself. Nope, more Lord of the Rings Online, wanted to play it. Sure, but hold on, we're going to get this new level. Oh, man. Oh, yeah. Oh, baby. Oh, give me the good stuff. And I wasted 6 months of my life not doing anything but playing that dang game. And that wasn't a good idea. That was, enjoying games is all fun and games.
It's all fun and games, literally until.
But man, I played so much damn Lord of the Rings Online. I was one of the first players to reach level 50 in that game. I was one of the OGs in Lord of the Rings Online. I was a big boy in that game. A big girl. I played as a female character because female characters get more stuff. Shh, don't tell anybody. Yeah, I played the heck out of that. And it hurt my relationship with my girlfriend. It hurt my career. I got fired from my job because I just wanted to play the game too much, and that was not good. So it's definitely a double-edged sword. It can do good for you, and it can do bad for you.
I want to sing. We've been singing prayers to video games and everything, and I want to end it off on high notes, because when people go look back on something like this, if we just ended on a bad note, people are just going to look at it just on the bad note. So I don't want to end it there. So I'm going to save my praise for until we're about to end. But a lot of it comes down to investing your time in socially into video games, and it can be a really bad thing if it's not treated right. Is just you lose that social aspect. Like, yeah, we look at it right now and we say, yeah, we're interacting with each other. Video games have helped us to interact and talk to each other. But at the same time, we're losing that IRL, real life interaction, social interaction, which is highly important to a lot of us in general. Like, you can't say that it's not important to be social outside of an online experience. You need to be. It's an important aspect of life. Just health wise, even, is just being outside, interacting with people in front of you is a healthy thing to do, and which is why COVID is such a struggle right now for a lot of people.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of depression born from being isolated. A lot of yeah, it's video games definitely helped a lot of people, but it's not a solution. It's a
No,
substitution.
it's something that needs to be temporary to an extent, and just and in certain doses, like a drug.
Mhm.
It needs to be done in certain doses, because overdoing
Like a
it,
drug.
to be honest, it
Video
really
games
is.
like a drug.
Like, you look at it one way, and it's like it is a drug, because if you overdose, you ruin
You don't
parts
want to
of your
OD on
crew.
video games,
Yeah,
man.
because
Yeah,
there is an extent of ODing on it.
yeah. Okay. I mean, it. There have definitely been studies done on video game addiction, and it's not a small. It's there's definitely some legitimacy to the same way that you would have like a gambling addiction. The flashing lights,
Yeah,
the colors release dopamine levels that are ad- addicting worthy. That will definitely get you, hooked on it for sure.
yeah, and I gotta say, it has affected me socially IRL, some in good ways, some in bad ways.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult thing, but it's something, a topic that does need to be talked about. It's not something that needs to be praised. Yeah, Ruka gave out a good thing right there. It's just there are people who have died ignoring important standard life things: sleep, hydration, food, just
Yeah, those
standard
are
life cares.
extreme cases, but they have definitely happened before.
They
And the less
have.
extreme cases, it affects you mentally in ways that you don't
It's
even
hard to
notice.
recover sometimes from it
Yeah.
too.
Oh
But
yeah, it put me in a bad place, man. Yeah, it did not affect me well. But I've learned how to handle, you know, everything in moderation, right? That's a good out view on life is everything in moderation,
yeah,
um, even video games,
I
as
think
much
it's a
as I
good
love
way.
them.
Sorry.
I want to point out really quick that while I was talking about Lord of the Rings online, somebody came in as Bilbo Cricket and just went, "Hello, my name is Bilbo. You love Lord of the Rings," and then
Hasn't said anything since.
I'm sorry.
That
I
was
just
good
love the
timing.
fact
It
that there
was
was
good
somebody
timing.
named Bilbo in chat while I was talking about Lord of the Rings. That's amazing.
It's pretty good timing.
Hi, Bilbo. I love The Hobbit just as much. Great, great books.
Yep.
I read all of that as a kid.
Can agree to that.
My dad made me, but I loved them.
I actually liked them. They were good. I liked them.
Oh
I
yeah,
read them on my own.
I
But
read
yeah.
that in the Narnia books.
I read most of the Narnia books. I don't think I ever completed it though.
Yeah, I remember reading. I read them all as a kid. I was actually into book. I haven't read nearly. I read more as a kid than I do as an adult. That's not. I shouldn't. I should read more. I remember getting lost in books and stuff too. I used to read a lot of books. I can't read. Ruku is. You just gotta put your mind to it. There's never been reading in video games ever. You don't need reading to play video games. That's all that matters. Uh,
Dechi, I got no clue what your name is, honestly, other than Dechi. I don't know what this one is. I'll be honest.
League of Legends, I used to play a lot of, which was not good for my psyche either. So there was a whole couple years, not a couple years, maybe a year or so of my life where I lived and breathed the League of Legends, and
The Legends of League.
yeah, and I would get addicted
Lol.
to kicking everybody's butt in League of Legends and getting good at the game. And I had a whole group of friends I used with. I'm still friends with them somehow miraculously. I don't know how. It should have ended. It should have killed all my friendships. Anybody, anybody I played League of Legends with, it should have just. I don't know how I survived. You got a true friendship if your friendship survives League of Legends, guys. Let
It
me tell you,
survives lol.
it's a
Oh god.
toxic game, man. It's a really hard game to deal with people in. It's just like predisposed to making you rage. Because even if you're doing good, the chances are um, you're being carried by someone who's doing way better than you, which just makes you more frustrated, or you're murdering a bunch of poor innocent people that are
Oh
on the other
boy.
team, and they're raging, and it's just it's just all around not a good feeling. And I've never felt good after winning a game of League of Legends. I would play it constantly, be really, really good at it. I would get that momentary, very brief high of like, yeah, we did it, we won. All right, on to the next game. Let's rage as somebody else. And you're never in a good place, and it was like completely defeated the purpose of video games for me, which is get lost in a world and have fun and enjoy it. Didn't feel any joy playing League of Legends, only felt the desire to kill and murder.
Te-
And that was it. Prove
Tech-
that I was better than everybody else.
Techi says, I always feel the best when once I turn the League client off.
Yeah, I know, right? And you're just like, it felt like work more than anything else. Yeah, it's a very love-hate relationship. It's like you get some really good highs, but man, it doesn't really make up for the lows. I like playing it casually now, with friends and stuff like. I played it with Sugar a few times and stuff like that, and it's fun to play it every once in a while. Although I do still have PTSD from that game, so it's it's a very mixed bag with me now. I turn on League of Legends and I just have like flashbacks of almost ending all of my friendships. And I'm just like,
Flashbacks.
I think I'll pass. Um, it's still a good game. It's just it's one of those games that can get very dangerous because it's very competitive.
Well,
Hi, Little Blue.
we're just past or almost past for you that 3 hour mark, and I think 3 hours is pretty decent for both of us, especially.
We'll wrap it up here.
But before we end it, so we don't end on such a negative note, I think we should still sing praise, considering a lot of us have been influenced positively with video games. I think we should send off on a few praises of just how much it's kind of made a difference in just our social life, having different kind of friends we've meeting, and just our networking. I'd have to say it's just phenomenal with just the way that some of us have treated the video games, just to have a great networking site.
Yeah, I mean, video games have helped me connect with people socially. They've helped me, they've helped me get through just as much as they've given me bad times, which I was talking about before. More so, they've helped me through bad times, and they've developed who I am as a person. I would not be Waffles for Chumps today without video games. And I like who I am. I'm very proud of who I am. And I think video games had a huge influence on making me a better person. Like there's more to it than just some escapism or violence or whatever bad things people say about video games. There's all sorts of lessons and brain training and getting lost in these stories and finding new ways to interact with cool things and experience. Video games are a creative art form, just like any other art form, and being able to see somebody's creative art is always a great experience for me. And I love seeing all the creativity in video games and stuff like that, and that definitely ties with my whole love of creativity and music and all that stuff.
Dog.
I've experienced things in video games I could never experience.
Dog Lover has a question for us, which feel free to ask, but I'll continue
Yeah,
on my
free.
side. Well, they type it out. Yeah, no, I think it's given us a great social area to talk with a lot of people, and and to get some aspect out of it, just to enjoy life a little bit more, to see creative things that can be done with video games, or just because a lot of people love music and stuff that come from video games. You hear all these all these different music that comes from them, and people just love them. And that sometimes that wouldn't happen without those video games to have a backing to, or just have some kind of thing. So it gives a creative output for a lot of people, but sometimes it just gives that standard relief to others who play it. It's just that sigh of relief just to get that stress out in playing some kind of game.
Yeah, and sometimes it's fun just to experience a different world. Sometimes, you know, a world that's not your own, and get lost in somebody else's visions. It's an art form just like music or the more traditional drawing art, something like that. You experience it, you get lost in it, you get to see somebody else's perspective on the world, in a way. Dog Lovers asks, what was the very first game, console, and game I ever owned? We talked about this earlier. I got an NES. The NES was actually, if we want to be real technically I started out on PC. I played on my dad's computer. My dad had my dad's a computer engineer, and he had very old computers, these old CRT television, the big old box monitors and stuff like that would legit only just display, like, you would boot it up and it would just say, like, enter command C dash whatever, and that would just be it. So you'd enter a command, you'd be like, dungeon.exe, and it would start, it would bring you up to this little, the only sounds were like little beeps and boops were like beep, boop, boop, beep, beep. And there would be like a little dude in the middle and like little skulls that would like float across the screen like this and move around, and you would have to try and get through the dungeon and stuff like that. That was my first video games. I was obsessed with them as a kid, as everything else video games I've ever been in my entire life.
I probably can't exactly remember what the first game I played was, but I think the first thing I can remember would have been NHL 94 on the Super Nintendo.
Oh.
So that's where
your very first game you were introduced to.
I think so. I can't remember exactly. It could have been something else further from that, but that's the only thing I can remember like clearly. That would have been like my first kind of game to it. There's probably something else, but like it would have been so small that I couldn't remember nowadays.
I bet you that blew your mind as a kid. You were like,
yeah.
My God, I can be look at all the shots I'm making. I'm a freaking sports god.
If you ever watch NHL 94 like clips and stuff, it's hilarious. Like all
you just make a shot hilarious. From all the way to the other side of the map, and you're just like, Psh!
But just it's all pixelated and stuff because this is 90s kind of quality stuff. Boys. So it's just like on a CRV TV or whatever. I can't remember. But yeah.
I never had an Atari. Dog Lovers says yours was an Atari. I remember having a Pac-Man and some others you can't remember. Yeah.
Atari.
My cousin owned an arcade version of Galaga. And I would go over to his house and play Galaga on he had an arcade cabinet. A legit actual arcade cabinet.
Jeez, mate.
And it
miss
was
arcades.
Just Galaga, but man, I'd love to play that.
I miss arcades, going to arcades. Those were always fun to go with friends.
I still go to arcades.
I would go, except it's COVID.
Pre-COVID.
Yeah, I was going to say, pre-COVID, I would go with a couple friends sometimes. But
I go to this place, I go to Dave & Buster's.
Yeah.
I'm down for some Dave & Buster's, man. I love the old school arcades.
The old Dave & Buster's.
They're a little too flashy sometimes
they're
for
flashy.
me now.
They're quite flashy.
They're a little like ADD kind of like casino-esque, just
they are,
flashing
but
lights everywhere.
They're a brand, and that's the kind of
like
it is.
Holy crap! Just
they're
tone down the beeps and the boops just a tiny bit. I don't need a strobe light every 2 seconds.
No,
but I do like me some old school arcades.
Yeah, I do too. Well,
all right.
I think that's probably the best place to end it right there.
Yeah, let's end it on the high note. Yeah,
end it on the high notes. Thank you everyone for coming out and watching second episode.
Thank you guys for giving us your perspective.
Yeah, it's
stuff
great.
like
It
that.
was great to hear some people's stories and where the origin started and everything, especially the people we got to know a lot better. And I'm sure that hearing some of our origin stories was news for some of you. We also got to be introduced to the Waffles' new mic and everything. So
Yeah. I hope my mic was okay, guys. I hope that there wasn't any. I hope it didn't like start breaking down or something halfway through stream because I have no idea whether or not it did.
it sounded fine to me.
Okay, that's good. Good to hear. I'm glad because it was did not turn out well on my stream the other day. So thank goodness.
It's all right, Tetchy.
I'm really happy to hear you guys' perspective on video games and to know that yeah, it's affected all of us in different ways and stuff like that. And just like any other kind of art medium, it's had a huge impact.
Yeah.
And glad to be hanging out with a bunch of video game lovers.
Yes,
We
indeed.
can all unite under the video game flag.
Yes, indeed. So we'll be back 2 weeks from now, 25th,
Yes,
with a new episode.
25th.
Hopefully, I think our plan is to try to get a guest. I think that's the plan, Waffles, that we spoke.
Yes, we're gonna try and get a guest for the next.
Don't know who.
Yes, guest is.
I think that's the plan that we wanted to do. We had a small discussion, a little like
No finer details.
no finer
because-
details because we barely
yeah.
know them ourselves. But I think our plan is to get someone else so you don't have to constantly hear only two of us talking. You can get a third or fourth
You can
input.
hear a third person.
A third person and
We don't-
unique
we don't
experience
just-
to someone else.
Yeah,
From
stroke
someone
our own
else's-
egos
yeah,
for
we'll-
2 hours straight. We got a third.
3 hours
perspective
straight,
next
mate. We
time,
got
maybe.
3
Maybe
hours
3 hours
straight
straight. Sorry, yeah.
of stroking our own
Um,
egos. Of
Yeah, we'll get a third person up in here, and I really want to hear other people's perspective on stuff like this.
yeah. The 25th
that'd be fun.
will be the next stream date, and so not next week, but the
Yes.
week after.
Yeah, I hope you guys join for our
So-
next talk. I don't know what it is yet. I don't know what our topic's going to be. Probably something, something crazy.
Something crazy, something
Some-
different.
something else we really enjoy and want to talk about and have fun with, and we'll have a guest. It'll be fun.
Yes, I think we go right now.
You guys can share your thoughts too. Thank you guys for hanging out. Love all you guys.
Oh, Chachi might be able to join. Well, then then we might have that one topic we might do. That we talked about.
Oh yeah. That'd be cool. Yeah, that's a good idea.
We'll talk.
I'm
We'll talk later,
down for
Chachi.
that. We'll discuss that at a later time.
Later time.
I'm gonna find somebody to raid.
Yes, we'll go send a double raid.
Deadly's doing a set right now.
Dudley is doing a set right now.
Let me see. Do you want to give Deadly a raid?
We can. I don't have anyone else on, so
All right, let's give Deadly a raid. Go listen.
might be.
Speaking
It
of
better be someone
creativity-
with a breakfast related name, or we all rage. I mean, Chachi's got chocolate milk, so we're close enough.
Speaking of creativity, our friend Deadly is doing some DJing right
Some
now. So
music.
let's go give Deadly some love. Yeah, let's go support that.
Yeah.
Super into that.
Yes.
All right, guys. The next podcast is going to be on the 25th. I hope to see you guys there. Thank you guys for giving us your perspective and hanging out and everything. It was really fun.
Bye to
I had
anyone
a fun
watching on
time
YouTube. Thanks for
talking.
listening. Because this will be
Alright.
on YouTube at some point when I feel like it.
Yes, this will be on YouTube. Go check out Brand's
If-
YouTube.
If you missed anything, you can go watch it on YouTube. Or if you're watching on YouTube, go watch Twitch. Bye, everybody. Ready?
All right, see you guys. Bye bye.
Count us down, Waffles.
Say what?
Count us down.
Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Bye. There we go.